loss against Union that even with the quarterback injury, I don't think anybody expected, and he's not going to want to lose 2 in a row. And so you're going to see Fannin County's best effort tonight. And for Gilmer, Coach Standard really wants that winning record. He wants that team to make it into the playoff this year. He wants it turned around in the second year, not third or fourth year. He wants this to be the year, and I think everybody's bought into that. So it's going to be a really interesting contest.
Yeah, he mentioned in our discussion with him the conditioning and how they really ratcheted things up in the weight room in this offseason. We'll see if that comes into play. Depth always an issue, and we'll see how that bears out tonight as well. On the other side, Fannin, a big surprise last week, and no matter what you want to say, there was some discussion about the officiating and the yard markers and things like that, as there always is, but Fannin was really shut down. They scored 7 points in the first half and then nothing else, and the issue is the quarterback position. We don't know whether it will be the more running style quarterback, Corbin Davenport, or Elijah Weaver, who likes to air it out a little more. But when you're trying to decide between two, this is the time of the year where you've got to pick and just roll with what you have. Yeah,
because you're splitting reps in practice. And when you're splitting reps in practice, you're taking away the perfecting of your offense. So, you know, that's a hard thing to do, but I understand it completely because you're not sure who your starter is going to be. So, I mean, it's very easy to understand. But I do expect to see a much different look from Fannin tonight.
Yeah, Caleb, last week it was Corbin Davenport accounting for 145 of the 220 total yards for Fannin, scoring the only touchdown. So it's hard to take him down for somebody else, but you need him in lots of other areas, and you really have to have the versatility to be able to throw it as well.
Absolutely, and that's one thing Fannin feels like they've perfected over the last couple of years. Whoever they put in at the quarterback position could go play some other positions, and if they're going to be a more mobile quarterback, it's going to be a ground and pound. They're going to be very physical. It's not going to be a finesse running. So even if they do try to go with a ground attack here tonight, you know Fannin's going to be physical. That offensive line is going to be very physical, which that's kind of their hallmark here under Coach Cheatham. And physicality, I think we talked about many times already here tonight. Really going to be the story here tonight, and kind of who wants it more.
Yeah, defensively, both of these teams held their opponents last week to under 200 yards. And so as I sort of put you guys on the spot here, we'll start with you, Caleb. You know, we got to sort of make some kind of prediction of the game. You know, low-scoring game. Do you think both offenses open it up? What do you expect to see?
I think you're going to see maybe a little bit of low-scoring game. Both teams maybe still figuring out themselves on offense, particularly on the Fannin side. But even if this is going to be considered, and I use the air quotes, of a down season for Fannin, I think there's still a ton of experience coming back here for the Rebels. I like the Rebels here tonight. I think Gilmer's much improved, and I think you're going to see that here tonight on the field. But I think I like Fannin a little bit here with the experience. They've been in these tight ball games, a tight one last week. You see the biggest improvements year one to year two, like you're going to probably see here with Coach Standard this season. You see a lot of improvements from game one to game two, so I think we see a much better Fannin team tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Dell, what are you expecting to see?
So I think the team with the fewest turnovers wins.
Good prediction. One of the things we heard Coach Standard say, and we'll hear from Coach Cheatham at halftime, special teams. They started working on special teams at every single practice. On the other side, I was down talking with the Fannin faithful before the game. They like their kicker a lot too, so it could come down to a last-minute field goal or something like that. So it should be an interesting game. Either way, they're down there in the middle of the field having the coin toss, so in just a minute we will know who's going to get the ball first. Good to see the captains out for both teams.
Good to see Lucy and Rick Harris out there. Most people in the viewing community know about their son, Noah Harris, who was killed early in the Iraq War. Outstanding student, captain of the football team, state champion wrestler and thespian, and became oddly enough a cheerleader at the University of Georgia and was the captain of the cheerleading squad, and chose to sign up for 9/11 or after 9/11, watching it from his dorm room, and lost his life there. So.
Yeah, certainly a hero to our country and to the community here, and so good to see his mom and dad out. Gilmer won the toss and deferred, so it will be Fannin taking the ball first, and we are just about ready to get this one underway. There's been this sort of tension in the air since we got here, and I think once that first lick comes in after this kick, that'll sort of release and we'll get going. We are so excited for you to be with us tonight. We see the Gilmer football team getting ready to run through. Caleb Frady is right down there in that end zone. Caleb, are they getting hyped up?
A little bit of a quiet moment for the Gilmer team. Everyone on a knee listening to Coach Standard and some final words of instruction here, and a prayer as well before they get ready to take off for the field. But I think the noise level is going to come up quite a few decibels once they come through the banner and the home crowd greets them here for the first time this season.
You see the American flags being carried out. Of course, as we mentioned, military first responders night here tonight. Great camera work down there by David Williams, getting a good shot of the team before they run through.
Love the video that's showing on the Pettit Field monitor.
And there you have the Bobcats. This team, as you mentioned, has been through so much, especially the seniors, and good to see them entering this game 1-0 and ready to get this one kicked off in a big-time rivalry game. It is a border war between Gilmer and Fannin. A lot of these kids have grown up playing ball together and against each other since they were little kids, and there are the Rebels coming onto the field. They're a traditional walkout, get there to about the 10, and then they'll take off running. And that team, Dell, has seen a tremendous amount of success the last couple of years. In the past 4 seasons, they have been put out by the eventual state champion or runner-up. And tough losses to Fitzgerald the last 2 years. That's a team that, especially that senior, and they have 20 seniors in that class, they've experienced a ton of success.
20 and 3 over the last 2 years, so really kind of hard to pick any or find any fault with the team that's played that well. And in particular, you just have to be so impressed with the job that Coach Cheatham's done there in Blue Ridge, because that's not the norm. There were a couple of really good teams back in the early 90s for Fannin, and other than that, it's just been not so good. In those last 2 years, really, like as you mentioned, best 2 years in Fannin County's school history.
And one of the things that we talked to him about last week was how do you, with that new level of expectation, sort of manage, the level of success, and how do you you don't come out and say that we can't duplicate that every year, but you have to have realistic expectations based on your personnel. But up in Blue Ridge, they're expecting wins, and especially looking to get one tonight here against their rival.
And a team that clearly they've dominated for the last several years. So a lot for them to feel out, and a lot for Gilmer to have to overcome. They've got to overcome that confidence level of getting over the hump.
Giovanni Kukla, the kicker here, senior, going to start us off. The left-footed kicker pooches that one and is picked up there at the 40-yard line. So Fannin will start off with tremendous field position, and we'll see what the Rebels can do offensively after really struggling last week.
Slick idea to catch, thinking they might catch Fannin sleeping on that and trying to dump it into an area where they weren't, but Fannin County did a great job on special teams. So both coaches showing off their new look special teams.
So it will be Corbin Davenport starting off at quarterback. He is a senior, and we've seen him play a pivotal role on these really good teams, but he's been primarily a kick returner and a defensive player, and played some at wide receiver, but now he is the man reining it in. And now, just like that, they switch. He goes out wide, and it is Elijah Weaver who comes in at the quarterback, and they have it wide. So a little trickery there from the coach. Davenport the one with the reception, and they pick up about 4 or 5 on first down. How about that little trickeration there, Coach?
That was nice. So they lined up in the wing T, which is what Gilmer runs, and then broke into 5 wideouts. So pretty, and that's a great thing to do. If you've got both quarterbacks on the field, you can play either one. So that's a nice wrinkle to have in your offense.
So how about this? No success at all throwing the ball, and they come out and throw on the first 2 plays, pick up a first down. We talked with some of the Fannin folks throughout this week, and they were really thinking that Coach Chris Thigpen would have to be creative in his play calling. So far, we've seen a couple throws, we've seen the hurry up, and here we're going to get it slowed down. The delay of game.
Wow. I thought they got up there pretty quick.
I thought they did too. I think that there was a little miscommunication on the clock there because they went quickly. Coach Cheatham is letting the official know that was not the right call. I will say about both of these coaches, they're both gentlemen. They're both very accommodating and both beloved in the community. And especially Coach Cheatham, being born and raised there, has that that camaraderie. But Coach Stanley quickly become well-liked here in Gilmer County.
He's a no-nonsense guy, but he came with credentials that you can't question. So that helped him get over the second-guessing stuff that happens sometimes.
Yes. So it is Weaver, as we mentioned, back there at quarterback. They will hand it off this time. A little room on the corner, and picked up the penalty yardage and a couple of more. Good run that time.
I'll say on the first couple of plays, of course, those are quick passes, but the Fannin County offensive line looking very good against the Gilmer County front. There's no penetration on either run or pass.
It is the tailback Carson Callahan, sophomore. We saw him in mop-up time sporadically last year. This is a different-looking Fannin team. Not a lot of size, but what they have tried to do, they've done well. The first miss of the game there, that is an intended pass for Cade Sands, another senior, typically more of a back.
That gives you 3rd and long, but we're in 4-down territory here if you're Fannin. You got to figure 2 or 3 opportunities with the ball per half. You're looking at 6 to 10 maybe for the whole game. So you gotta make those things count when you get them.
So 3rd and 8 here. Weaver dropping for a receiver. They're going to run a screen, and
Great call.
Boy, they dialed it up in a good situation. All the way down inside the 30-yard line are the Rebels.
That was a great call. Have 4 wides and then go with the screen, and that's just a good football call right there.
Callahan with a good hard run as well. So this first drive, Dell, as we look at it, they picked the flag up. Does this seem like one of those drives that was scripted and that had kind of had in mind what they wanted to do on the first drive?
Well, I can't tell that, but I can tell you that the trickeration was certainly scripted, and it's worked so far.
That pass out to Davenport. He's down inside the 10, and he will make it all the way down to the 1-yard line. So Fannin, after not being able to throw it at all last week, has come out firing here on this first drive.
It's almost like they've revamped their offense, and it's going to take the Bobcats coaching staff a series here to start figuring out what Fannin's doing, because it's not so much the scripting of it as it's different than what you've seen from Fannin.
Well, and I tell you, and they may come out with Davenport at quarterback. To me, it looks like they've made a decision on what the offense is going to look like and who the quarterback's going to be.
Well, I think when you get here, you're going to see Davenport running. When they're going to run the ball, that's what you have now is Davenport playing quarterback, right? So
right.
I think you're going to see both of them play.
So they find some room for Davenport, and he is in the end zone for a Fannin County touchdown. And that drive is like a knife through hot butter for Fannin.
60 yards and never really faced much difficulty other than 1 3rd-down play.
And if you're Gilmer, you tip your hat to Coach Thigpen there. They had a great idea of what they wanted to do, came out and executed.
High snap. The kicks down and away. And it's good.
So just that quickly, 7-0 Fannin will step aside and come back and see how Gilmer answers after this.
United Country Talking Rock Realty says it best. I'm happy as long as I can see Sharp Top. From the ground up, new home to complete renovation or remodel, we have combined the amazing workmanship of SGC Groups, transforming the forgotten to the fabulous. Teamwork makes the dream work. For buying, selling, or flipping, call Sherry Martin at 404-375-0590 or Evelyn Calhoun at 770-733-0779.
Luttrell's Hardware in Copper Hill, Tennessee is your one-stop do-it-yourself shop. We stock everything from fasteners, electrical and plumbing parts, power tools, animal feed, and so much more. Save yourself a trip or two into town and come see us at Luttrell's Hardware on Highway 68 in Copper Hill, next to Runway Fireworks. Or give us a call at 423-548-3600. 3,300.
Here in this first quarter, brought to you by our good friends at El Rey. And as I said, Del, I'm not one that necessarily tells you what you should. The burrito Azteca over there is pretty hard to beat. I've had that a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and so we appreciate El Rey coming on as our first quarter sponsor.
So Gilmer County now needs to answer, only they don't have the same field position that Fannin had on their own 20-yard line.
Yeah, touchback of Cantner, the Fannin kicker. Run here on first down all the way into the back defense. And Watkins with the big run, and that'll be a first down on the first play.
First down, Bobcats at the 1.
And the good thing is, second year in this system, the Gilmer panic and try to do anything outside what they're comfortable with. They're comfortable with running the football, blocking, and putting more men on one point of attack than you can block.
So 1st and 10 again for the Bobcats. Short run there. Our guy Caleb Frady is down there in the end zone, and Caleb, you were a first-hand witness to that Fannin touchdown. They really didn't meet a ton of resistance at all.
No, it was really good blocking that entire drive on those swing passes, screen passes, but when they put the ball on the ground and needed to run, the right side of the offensive line for Fannin just absolutely moved everybody out of the way for Gilmer, diving into the end zone easily.
So if you are a Rebel fan, you've got to really like the way that offense looked after struggling last week. But Gilmer here, as you mentioned, Dale, they're going to do what they do. Not going to panic because of a score. And this time it's a dive through the middle with Brock Titus, and it's going to bring up 3rd and about 5 here for Gilmer.
A lot of times when fans watch this type, they think, well, why are they running the ball in the middle of the line? You can't be successful, but you must do that. Look at those 3 big linebackers for the Rebels that they're placing their feet on that 40-yard line. Those guys have to honor that fullback, so they'll be outside to meet the wingbacks that are running wide. So even if you're only picking up a yard or 2, you want to keep that fullback so that they have to stay home. But 3rd and long is not good in this offense, that's for sure.
It's 3rd and 6. Officially, they're going to toss it out wide. Look like they've got a little room, and it'll be another Gilmer first down. And the ball is on the ground, but the Bobcats fall on it. So almost a disaster there, but they're able to recover, and it will be a first down Gilmer.
It's like all the players kept going, and the ball stayed where it was, but it was enough for a first down.
So the first thing you immediately notice, Gilmer blocking scheme in that line, they are creating space, particularly on the outside of these first few plays.
But the key to making that outside space be there is to keep that fullback working. Fannin County has some big, stout-looking linebackers, that's for sure.
As we mentioned, both of these teams were outstanding defensively last week as Gilmer runs it again, and so far the outside runs have been there. That little, what you call a cross buck or a misdirection, a counter, whatever you call it, they're able to. They've had two really good plays with that, and then of course the toss on the outside. And so as you mentioned, it's really those 3 plays. And I was talking with Coach Cheatham about this Gilmer offense, and he said, you know, they'll lull you to sleep with that dive and those same 3 plays, and then all of a sudden they'll come out as something different. And he actually called Coach Standard a genius in the way he has this offense set up, and I agree with that assessment.
Well, everybody has to play honest. If you start cheating one way or the other on defense, it can catch you. And it's second short, and their Bobcats are running clock. That's exactly what the game is about.
So it's a dive that time, and it'll be good for another Gilmer first down. And so the Cats doing exactly what they wanted to do, controlling the clock, moving the chains, and playing traditional Bobcat football.
And giving the defensive coaches a little bit of time to figure out how to adjust to the wrinkles that Fannin threw at them on an offensive standpoint. So from that standpoint, it's already been a successful drive, but now they're in Fannin territory. You're going to get a limited number of these, just like we said before. So for the Bobcats, they need to take advantage of this, and they're in 4-down territory now.
So Isaac Rellinger under center for Gilmer, guiding this offense. It'll be another dive, and I tell you what, Brock Titus is such a big bruising body. You know, just from his size, he picks up 3 or 4 yards. We asked Coach Standard in that interview, you know, who are some of the names we need to look for. He mentioned Titus, he mentioned Hunter Watkins, he mentioned Will Kiker, and of course talked about some of the seniors, and some of the linemen mentioned Herschel DeFore specifically. And so far we are seeing the ones he told us to look out for make an impact.
And they're not a massive from a size standpoint team, but they're quick and they're very sound in their technique, and that's what's critical. There's a lot of big guys coming too in the 9th and 10th grade, so size isn't going to be an issue long.
This time it'll be Rellinger keeping it for the first time. Another first down. He slips through a tackle. He's going to be all the way into the end zone for a Gilmer touchdown.
He's got some speed. He had a little burst on the 25-yard line, and I thought the Fannin defenders had angles on him. He had a little burst. Watch this right here.
Yeah, so wow, very impressed there with Rellinger. But if you notice, they lulled them to sleep running those same 3 plays, and then all of a sudden the quarterback keeps it and pops it for a touchdown.
So Bobcats run a formation that allows itself, if you go to sleep on it, allows itself for a 2-point conversion. Fannin County well coached and play it exactly the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, Auburn very famously ran this. They called it the swinging gate. I'm not sure what the terminology is in Coach Standard's offense, but big shout out to Coach Eddie Marietta and the special teams unit. That kick is up, and it's good. We have a battle, folks, 7-7. As we go through this first quarter, we'll step aside and come back and see what Fannin can do on offense right after this break.
You're guaranteed prompt, reliable service with every job when you hire the original plumber. We believe in traditional values like integrity, honesty, and hard work. We offer transparent, upfront pricing, and our techs will take the time to educate you about your options. We have years of experience handling all types of plumbing work. From tankless water heaters to digging sewer lines, we can handle all of your residential or commercial needs. The original plumber is here to help you with your plumbing, septic, and HVAC needs.
So we're going to go down to our guy Caleb Frady on the field. Caleb, all 3 of us, as we were talking pregame, said, oh, we're in for a low-scoring game. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say.
Well, a lot of physicality here so far, keeping the ball on the ground, even though Fannin really kind of attacking through the air. All these swing passes and screen passes almost act like runs in a lot of ways, and then when they had to run the ball well, they did. And for Gilmer, just lull you to sleep, like you said, grind, 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 and then pop a big play. And that's the thing about this offense. Gilmer won't panic at any point. They'll just keep running that offense, and even again at 7.
Yeah, so this was a really, really exciting couple of drives. Del, what have you seen from both teams that sort of gives you an idea of what we have ahead of us?
Both teams are playing to their strength. So again, I don't see anything that's changed much. It's turnovers that are going to make a difference. But right now, Fannin's got a good kickoff return.
We're all the way out past midfield and down to the 30-yard line. Maybe that's why we saw that pooch kick to start the game. A little bit of a lapse in the coverage for the Cats. That kick return by Bryson Holloway, a senior tailback, and that was a good one.
It was a great one. Anytime you can start on your opponent's 30-yard line, that's an awesome place to start.
So that Fannin offense came out full throttle on the opening drive with Elijah Weaver back there in the shotgun. That is what we will see again, and so we'll see if they let him throw it or if they go back to a more conservative offense. It'll be a big run there, and Callahan slips and falls. That'll be a gain of maybe 1. So it'll be 2nd down and 9 officially. The officials talking about something down there.
They got the clock stopped. Yeah, it's getting pretty close to time to flip the light switch, but they don't have to warm up here anymore.
It's true. Nolan Price there with the traditional lineman look with the jersey pulled all the way up. That shows you how physical the game has been. Jersey's been pulled up and down.
There's going to be a penalty against Gilmer here. I'm not sure what that's for, but never really saw the flag. Offside.
But we'll see what happened. I think that signal was for a sideline warning. It wasn't an offside signal. I may be wrong. I might have missed it, but I'm not sure exactly what it was.
That'd make more sense because I didn't see anybody jump.
Yeah, and it was after the play. So we'll see if we can get some clarification. That is a play action.
Wow. Wide open receiver in the middle and just got it over his head.
I believe that was Davenport, the intended receiver. Hard to tell from here.
It was a great call because he was wide open. I think we got a replay of that. Great fake, and he's just wide open. It's one of those things. He's so open, I've got to hurry up and get it to him.
Yeah, overshot him that time.
3rd and 5, but 4 down territory again.
Another screen pass and another first down, and it's going to be negated. One of the Fannin players got overzealous and blocked in the back.
Oh boy, didn't see that.
So you can see it here on the back side.
Hey, you're right.
I believe that was, couldn't see the number. I believe that was one of the receivers out there. It'll make it 3rd and long after the penalty.
Still less than 10 because they moved it from where the ball was down as opposed to the spot of the foul. And still 4 down territory. So, and Fannin County really has shown a great passing game tonight. Run the ball twice, I think. So 9 yards, really not much to think about in their passing offense.
So 3rd, and it says 9 to go for the first down. They'll hand it off this time and going to be short. So decision time on about 4th and 4 or 5. I don't think much of a decision for Coach Cheatham and his offense.
This is not really going to be a field goal kicker's game. This is last play of the half, last play of the game. Both of these teams are going to go for it on 4th down when they're inside their opponent's 40 for sure. But super big play for the Bobcats defense because they got scorched on the first drive and spotted Fannin on their own 30 to start this drive. And so if they could come away with a stop here, it would be a huge momentum boost for that Gilmer defense.
4th down and 6. And with it being a critical play, Coach Cheatham and his staff want to talk about it. We'll step aside for 60 seconds and see what they come up with on 4th and 6 after this.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
Since 1994, North Georgia has called on Appalachian Propane for all its propane needs. Why propane? It's extremely affordable, efficient, and most of all, clean burning. Go green and think clean with propane. Our exceptional customer service and affordable rate has made us the best choice for residential, business, and farms throughout North Georgia. So the next time you think propane, think Appalachian Propane, a division of the Thomas Oil Company since 1960. Remember, go green and think clean with Appalachian Propane.
So Fannin there attempts to throw it in the end zone, and it is incomplete. See a replay here. Weaver just overshoots the intended receiver, and
it was double coverage. That was a hard pass to complete. So great stop by the Bobcats defense there, because again, Fannin started business on the Bobcat 30. So that was a huge stop, at least for a confidence standpoint.
So if you're Gilmer, you have to be ecstatic about that and the opportunity that you have to really run some clock here and at least get through this El Rey first quarter. Good stop that time by the Fannin defense. Fannin has some size up front as well as you look down that line.
They do. They have good beef.
A lot of experience, too. Number 77, Logan Long. I'm not sure if he's out there right now or not, but he's a 4-year starter. And, just really an anchor of that offense and defense, plays both ways.
Gilmer gets to the line fairly quickly. They're up there usually with 15 seconds to go, and then they're able to take their time before they snap it.
65, Bryson Fink out there. Also 62, Case Holloway, the sophomore. So some good size, and you see that standing up again is that fan in front. There's Logan Long coming onto the field, third down.
So I think it's actually 3rd and 5.
Yes, third down. I don't know what I said, but third down. Number 63, Nate Maloof out there, also a senior, so lots of experience on that line. 3rd down and 5 for the Cats. Rellinger going to keep it and pitch it, and that'll be
Good
another
blocking out there.
first down. And down the sideline goes Watkins. He's still in bounds. He is going to go all the way. No flags. Touchdown, Bobcats.
Wow. That was well blocked on the outside by the Bobcats receivers, and that is a stunning run right there. We got it on replay, and we're seeing it right now. He just had one man to beat. That's what the offense aims for. They want the running back to have one man to beat. They figure they can do that as many times as not.
So Gilmer, after being blocked on 2 plays, they go, remember, it's a triple option, so fake to the fullback, quarterback keeps it and pitches it out wide, and all the way to the end zone is Hunter Watkins. Extra point opportunity forthcoming. It is up, and it looks good.
The holder for the Bobcats has done a great job twice, fielding less than perfect snaps, getting them down in time for the kick.
We're going to stay right here. Caleb, you had a good view of that from the backside. Gilmer really stuffed 2 times in a row, and all of a sudden, Hunter Watkins all the way down the sideline for the big run.
You know, the option is such an interesting offense because you can run that dive sometimes and you may not get anything out of it, or maybe a yard here or there, but you're feeling out that defense and reading how they're going to play things, which then sets up pulling it out, going back outside, and Gilmer had it strung out really well. Fannin didn't have a great angle there on the touchdown, trying to stop the touchdown there, and a big run there. And so now Gilmer wrestling some of this momentum away here from Fannin, answering back each time with a possession. Big stop opportunity here for this defense to try to give the offense the ball back again.
So, I don't know officially, but about a 70-yard touchdown run for Watkins, and the Gilmer faithful have got to love what they're seeing here.
Well, and interesting part of that is Fannin's going to get the ball for a 3rd time in the first quarter. And weren't sure that these 2 teams would each have the ball 3 or 4 times in the first half. So
Yeah,
maybe it's not going to be a low-scoring game after.
The quick strike Gilmer offense. How about that?
It can be. It can be.
Yeah, that's one of the things, you know, and my generation, you know, Dale, we'll put it that way, versus the older generation. You know, option football has been called big hit, big stick that time by the Gilmer return team after giving up a big run last time. Option football, the word boring has been associated with it. You know, when you see these teams run it, especially at the college level, you go, oh man. But when it's done right, and from folks like you who grew up on it, it can be a devastating offense.
Well, hey, I mean, since you're a fan of the loveliest village on the plain, when Pat Dye was coaching and Bo Jackson was running, it was anything but boring.
That's right. He was pretty good at that. And so for Gilmer here, 14 points in the first quarter. It's been a while since we've said that, Dale.
It has been a while. It has been a while, and this team has come a long way in 2 years under Coach Stander.
So it's Weaver out to Davenport. He's tripped up after a gain of about 4 or 5.
you like what Fannon's doing here. They're coming back and doing what they do, or at least for this game, what they're going to do, and that is spray the ball around. They've got 4 receivers. They're comfortable in that set. They can throw screen pass, which has the same effect as Caleb has already mentioned as a run play. So they've got everything they need. They have their run plays, their pass plays, and now the first quarter's over.
Yeah, so that's the end of the El Rey first quarter. It's been an exciting one, 14-7. Bobcats with a 7-point lead.
I said, come on, darling, take me downtown, because I want to see some of that tush in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Here we go!
Work hard. Play hard. Hit hard. Win hard. Your only connection to high school sports. Tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. to catch the action on the gridiron, only on ETC3.
When other dealers are hitting the brake.
First play of the second quarter, and nearly an interception for Gilmer. Way to get their hands up that time at that middle level. The intended target that time was number 16, Carson Collis for Fannin, and just like that,
Daniel Bryson stepped in front of that and really should have had the pick. It was right in his hands. He knows it. He's not a happy camper. He lulled that one to sleep. That's the third time they've gone across the middle, and the safety stayed where he was supposed to that time. Good adjustment by the Gilmer defense.
Yeah, Fannin has made a living on that little seam play over the last couple of years. Good job scouting it, as you mentioned. Handoff this time, sort of a surprise play, and he's going to be past the first down marker. Fannin moving here. Caleb, you're down there and saw that first quarter. Not what we expected at all, but certainly exciting for both teams.
Really has. I mean, both offenses have moved the ball really well. Fannin mixing it up with the pass and the run. Gilmer traditional, keeping it on the ground. We've seen some defensive stops there from Gilmer. So a really entertaining first quarter. A lot more offense than we probably thought with 21 combined points. We'll see maybe if these defenses settle in a little bit here now and kind of go back and forth with each other.
And maybe the most important thing, the sun is set, and so it's a little cooler down there on the field. So 1st and 10 here for Fannin. Elijah Weaver hands it off to Callahan. He finds a little hole. Nice collision there by
a good pickup.
Callahan. Yeah. Callahan, a smaller back than what we've traditionally seen for Fannin, but delivers the hit, and also good job hanging tough by Will Kiker there defensively for Gilmer.
So you're seeing two sides of the same coin. Fannin uses pass to spread the defense out and then runs in the gaps, and Gilmer using the running game inside to spread and find gaps on the outside.
That right side of the line for Fannin really creating some space. Over there's Jeremy Tammon and Logan Long, 2 seniors that are really anchors on that front. That time you saw Tammon out in front. Really did a good job creating some room.
The Bobcats, one thing for sure, they've had very little penetration tonight on the defensive front. Just have not been able to get through that Fannin County offensive line. Incomplete pass out in the flat, a little bit high on the throw. Was looking for Cade Sands, one of the seniors for the Rebels.
Yeah, I looked for Sands twice and missed him both times so far. While we have a little lull in the action, we want to thank our second quarter sponsor, Appalachian Propane. First year along with us here on ETC, and we appreciate them jumping on board. It was said in my ear, Dell, that they sell propane and propane accessories. I think that's a throwback to some TV show, but I don't know. If you're at home, you know what he's talking about. Another big run that time, and Fannin giving Gilmer a little taste of their own medicine, just running it, although it looks a lot different. It's the same concept.
Yeah, Fannin getting a lot of gas yards now, running the ball outside the tackles. And maybe taking advantage of the fact that the Bobcats have moved defensive backs a few yards back off the line of scrimmage in order to stop the passing attack. So again, in a game of chess, Coach Cheatham doing a great job of already switching up what he started the game with.
And very comfortable running to that right side, pulling different people over there every time as well to create space. See if they change it up.
It's 3rd and short.
Go back to the same thing. That'll be another first down. Tackle's out of bounds, but they were already engaged, so good no call there by the officials. This time they pulled Cooper Bourne over there.
At the 27-yard line.
So Fannin County back inside the 30-yard line again, and both of these teams taking a lot of time off the clock, which is the way they like to play the game.
So 1st and 10, back and forth we go. Weaver going to keep it himself this time, and oh man, takes a big hit over there by the sideline. You don't want to see that as thin as they already are at quarterback.
Yep, Mason Smith on that tackle coming up, and he sets his feet, and I don't think that once we saw it on the replay wasn't quite the lick we thought it was. He was slipping and going down, so don't take anything away from the tackle. It's a good tackle, solid form.
It may have saved him from getting a bigger hit, already going down.
But he got 5 yards out of it, so 2nd and 5, and you're staying ahead of the chains.
Going to throw it this time, and right in stride and all the way down inside the 10-yard line to about the 5. Looks like Kiker pushed him out of bounds there at the 5. That's the tailback, Callahan, this time just out of the backfield. I love the play call there. It's a throw, but it's a comfortable throw.
Right. It's just an overhand lateral.
Kiker saving the touchdown there on the boundary.
But you had a receiver out in the flat that was all alone and wide open.
So 1st down and goal from the 5-yard line. It'll be Weaver keeping it himself, and he will be in the end zone for a Fannin County touchdown. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to have a seesaw matchup. We're an extra point away from being tied at 14.
What a great football game we're getting.
So, extra point forthcoming. It is up. And it is true. We'll be back in 30 seconds, 14-all here at Huff Mosley Memorial Stadium.
Bill Hope Blue Ridge is stomping the gas with our biggest selection of the year. We've got over 400 vehicles in stock and North Georgia's biggest truck inventory. Head back to school in a new Chevrolet with our lowest payments of the year. Drive a new Chevrolet for just $199 a month. That's only $199 a month at Bill Hope. And we've never paid more for trades. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from us. When it comes to North Georgia's largest selection of new trucks and pre-owned vehicles, there's only one name you need to know: Bill Hope Blue Ridge.
14-all in Gilmer County on this beautiful August night. Man, this is fun, Dale.
It's great fun. I mean, we do a lot of ball games, and some of them are close. Most of them are not. And so when you have two teams that are pretty evenly matched and they're sort of slugging it out, it is a lot of fun. And then especially like you and I know a lot of the parents and a lot of the students, so that makes it even more fun.
It is. Good kids on both sides, good parents on both sides, and so it's fun to see everyone doing well.
Great kick.
Yeah, that one's going to be taken for a touchback, so Gilmer will take it with a long field again. So far, that hasn't stopped him.
Hasn't been much of a problem for either. In fact, the one time that Fannin didn't get it in the end zone, they actually started with a short field on Gilmer's 30.
So both teams with long drives. That helps the defense, unless you're a kid that plays both ways, then it doesn't really matter. But Gilmer will take over at the 20 with about 7:43 left in this Appalachian Propane second period.
Gilmer gets rest by taking gaps like you're seeing right now before they trigger the play.
So Rellinger keeps it. Got a little bit of space there. There's going to be a flag. It's like the area where holding usually occurs. We'll see.
That'll be interesting because that came from 20 yards away from the play. And you're exactly right. Normally where you see holding. Block below the waist, I think, is going to be the call.
So that official on the backside saw the chop, and
Coach Standard wants somebody displaying.
That's right. He's standing there with his hands on his hips and asking about it. He doesn't agree with the call.
That's a very that particular call. In order for it to be an illegal block below the waist, it has to be outside the 3-yard line of the scrimmage engagement.
Yeah, and it was well after the play, I think, is where you know how you got there. So Coach Standard is going to explain the rule to the official.
Yes, he will.
Over there.
There's no question.
Coach Standard, a legendary figure. And so, Caleb, you're familiar with Coach Standard down there in St. Pius, of course, played for the legend down there, Coach Maloof, and he has quite a reputation across the state.
He does. I mean, essentially he's kind of pioneered this offense that he runs camps and clinics across the state, teaching other coaches how to run it. You've got a question about this wing T option style offense. You go to him. Never could quite break through and get that state championship at St. Pius, but a very well-respected coach that built a very strong program that plays in some really stiff competition down in Atlanta. St. Pius still a power thanks to the foundation that he left behind.
Yeah, already in the top 10. They keep moving up classifications. And while you were talking, Caleb, he's still explaining the rules to the official.
Either that or he's telling him where to eat after the game.
That's right. I don't think that was it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe exchanging addresses for Christmas cards. I don't know. But this option, and you know, it has wing tee elements. I don't know that he would call it a wing tee, but it is a triple option, and he is a presenter at wing tee clinics, and so certainly is part of it. But he sort of created, as Caleb used a great word, pioneered his own version of the option, and he is, as we see, pioneered this one, and it's Hunter Watkins. Nobody anywhere near him. He is going to go all the way for another Bobcat touchdown.
That's a 90-yard run, folks.
Wow, look at this Gilmer offense click. Bobcat faithful absolutely
great
on
job
their
of
feet.
faking right here, and Rellinger got rid of it quickly, and then watch him the defensive backs within 3 yards, and at the end he's about 30 behind. So more speed than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Watkins already with a 70-yard run, so he's getting close to the 200-yard mark here with 7:20 left in the half.
So much for running a lot of clock.
Yeah, man. Just absolutely amazing to see.
Kicks true again. So Fannin and Gilmer have not always had good kicking games, but at least from the extra point tries, they're pretty good tonight.
Yeah, we're going to stay right here. And Caleb, you know, as we were talking about Coach Standard's offense, the Citadel alum and his staff draw up another, you know, just part of their offense, but when you run it correctly, it's deadly.
And we've seen Gilmer block it well at times, especially getting out on the perimeter. And again, that dive kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit. But credit Gilmer. Both of these teams have blocked really well on the perimeter, and it's that blocking, letting Gilmer get free and show off that speed that it has in doses here tonight. A 90-yard run, really impressive. Every time Gilmer's had the ball, they've been able to answer back and kind of control tempo a little bit here. So we'll see how Fannin responds with still a good bit of time left here in this second quarter.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinator, Dell, is PG Standard. That's Coach Paul Standard's son, and so whatever they've got cooking seems to be the right thing so far, at least early on in this game.
My guess is PG probably heard a lot about this offense growing up. It's dinner and breakfast and lunch and probably second nature to him.
Coach PG Standard is a new dad. Welcome to baby in May, so congratulations to he and his lovely wife. Also teaching in the school system. How about that onside attempt? That did not
go 10 yards, so there'll be a penalty.
I like the call from Coach Marietta there, but didn't go as planned.
It was interesting. All they missed was executing the kick. I don't know if we can get a replay of that, but that was most unusual.
Well, that was one of those you just kind of kick it and everybody falls on it, but everybody kicked it at about 3 yards, so it didn't work. So will it be a penalty and a re-kick, I believe, is what we'll get here? Or official's not sure either.
Well, I guess Coach Standard can explain the rule on that.
That's
one
right.
too, while he's at it. So I think it's Fannin's ball where the ball stopped.
All right.
They can opt to take it on the 43 or 42, which is right where the ball's sitting. So Fannin's going to start with great field position and plenty of time. All their timeouts, or 2 of their timeouts.
Yeah. So the idea, and we've seen colleges execute that. It's a squib, and it sort of just kind of die. And the kicker usually is the one that falls on it, but that time hit a bunch of a bunch of Gilmer legs, and Fannin, as you mentioned, I guess has the option to take it there, and they're already in Gilmer territory. Throw that time to Davenport. He finds a seam. He'll be out past for the first down. So let me get your thoughts on this, Dale. You've been watching football for a long time. You have you have the risk-reward scale. If the reward for that is you get another possession, if you can grind it out, you can end the half, with a 2-touchdown lead. The risk is what you have happen here. Now you give Fannin great field position, and so you can second-guess calls, but do you like the aggression, or would you rather have seen them sort of rest on their laurels there?
Well, so I don't necessarily think it would be resting on their laurels, but I like the aggressive play mainly because you're trying to create a new mindset here in Gilmer, one that these guys haven't experienced, at least in their high school career. And so you are aggressive. You're extra aggressive. And the thing is, you're playing a team that feels like this is a must-win game, even though it's just the second game of the year. Fannin feels like this is a must-win game for them. They can't go down 0-2. And so Fannin's going to pull everything out that they can. So Gilmer's just trying to be very, very aggressive.
Weaver keeps it this time, and it's going to be about 3 or 4 yards short of the marker, so it'll be a third down upcoming.
And honestly thought both of these defenses were better than they've played so far in the first half. We haven't even talked about region realignment, but both of these teams, in my opinion, especially for Fannin, moved into tougher regions, and so these games are big games so that you can get wins on the board before you head into that gauntlet. Third down and 4. Officially, it'll be another first down, and more. There's a flag down on the play, though. And Callahan is doing a really good job of staying behind his blockers until the defenders commit. It's very patient. It's something that an older or more experienced back would do. So if you watch him here, didn't get that on the replay. All right, I didn't pay attention to the replay fast enough, but he's just doing a real good job of running behind his blocking, letting it set up, and then going. And it's hard to teach that. You sort of either intuitively do it or you gain it over the years with experience. But he's just a really good running back.
Yeah, that time somebody was holding out on the perimeter. 10 this time. See what they draw up, and this time it's Sands in the backfield instead of Callahan. Last time in this situation they went to Callahan out in the flat. We'll see what they do this time.
Bobcats are thinking pass. They've only got 3 guys on the line. They shift the 4th one up, and they're going to run the screen.
This time it's to Sands. He bowls his way
He does
past
a
the
great
marker.
job. He got 5 yards after contact and turned that into a first down.
Sands takes the screen pass.
So the big bruiser that time, and there is a Gilmer player down. A lot of tough physical contact. So while they check on the injured player, we'll step aside for 30 seconds and be right back.
I'll be seeing you.
No, the thing I've missed the most during this entire time, this pandemic, has been you.
I love playing to a live audience. There's nothing like it.
The COVID-19 vaccines are going to help us all get back to the moments we miss.
It's totally normal to have questions. I did too.
That's why it's so important to get informed.
So ask your doctor and get the facts. It's up to you.
Junior linebacker Aspen Hadaway shaken up there, but he's walking off under his own power. Another one of those standout players that Coach Standard mentioned to us. Looks to be okay. Those linebackers are the ones involved in a lot of those high contact collisions just because of where they are, and so Hadaway no exception there.
So 1st and 10 on the 19. Fannin driving. Trying to tie this game back up before half.
Still 5 minutes left in this Appalachian Propane second quarter. 2 backs in the backfield this time. And it will be a gain of, well, kept pushing forward. I believe that was Sands.
Straight ahead down to the 16-yard line. 3-yard pickup.
Again, not seeing very much penetration from the defensive line of Gilmer, and I think that's a tribute to the Fannin County offensive line.
Second down and 7. They fake to Sands, give it to Davenport. He's able to get past a couple of defenders, and he's out past the first down marker. Caleb Frady's down on the field, got an eagle eye on things. I tell you what, both offenses really having a lot of success, and Fannin here going to be 1st and goal.
Yeah, you know, Dale hit the nail on the head earlier talking about you really thought you'd see a little bit better showing out of these 2 defenses, but blocking is really good for both of these offensive lines, and they're having their way with those defenses.
So we'll see what happens here. That is a
Ball's
fumble.
on the ground, and it looks like Fannin recovered.
Wow, Jake Sands able to jump on top of it. You know,
we talked about the turnover game, and neither team's committed one yet. So the Bobcats fumbled and recovered, and now Fannin fumbled.
Look, you take the credit for it. You're the one that brought up turnovers in the pregame. You can take a little credit there. So modest.
I'm not that kind of guy.
So yeah, as you mentioned, both teams have put it on the ground and fallen on top of it. So no turnovers yet. Well, both teams would love for that to continue. Really been a well-played game. The offenses are just executing well.
And it's going to be very exciting at halftime. You don't want to spend too much time getting popcorn if you're watching, because both bands are really good.
Absolutely, and you also hear from Coach Chad Cheatham. So the really good news is you won't hear much of us, but you'll see a lot of other things going on. Flag on the play. It's going to be touchdown Fannin, but looks like it'll be coming back.
Here we see Attaway back in the game.
Yeah. Mr. Becker, the voice of the Bobcats over there, correctly calling that there's a flag.
And illegal procedure.
Those really hurt when you take a touchdown off the board.
That's exactly right. But Fannin really has had very little trouble moving the football. So no one not really been stopped, and neither is Gilmer.
It's been, interestingly though, sort of the inverse of what we expected. Fannin the one with the long sustained drives, and Gilmer with the big impact plays. We talk a lot about those chunk plays of 20 yards or more, and it's been Gilmer who's had those tonight. Second down and goal. Coach Cheatham
got a timeout just before the ball was snapped. It's going to be a quarterback draw.
Yeah, Davenport was
in the game. Yeah,
that's right. So we'll step aside for 30 seconds and be right back. Big play coming up.
ATC knows the internet is evolving, taking new twists and turns. As we add our input, make our choices, and follow the light that connects us all. It's quite a journey, one to experience with the fastest speeds available. Contact ATC, connect to the internet speed that suits your journey, and enjoy the ride.
So Coach Cheatham calls the timeout there, and Dale, you very awarely noticed that Davenport had been slipped into the game. It looks like he'll be back there, and that usually indicates a quarterback run of some sort.
But he's got a good back with him too, so he can do a lot of things here.
And of course he can throw it if they're trying to run a trick play. He's adept at that as well. So interesting play here. Second and goal from the 12. Davenport will keep it straight ahead, and he bounces off a tackle into the end zone for a Rebel score.
Nice job. Nice job of blocking it. Nice job of running it. Those Fannin County offensive linemen just have walled off the hole.
Caleb Frady, you're down there in the end zone. You could have run through that hole and maybe bounced off that tackle into the end zone.
Good as well. I could have taken my time getting through that hole. Just you talked about the size, particularly for Fannin on the offensive and defensive line, and that offensive line's doing a really good job. We've talked about perimeter blocking tonight on all these swing passes. Ton of credit there to the offensive line for just opening up holes when they decide to put it on the ground.
And the extra point is up and good. 21 all. As we approach halftime, we'll step aside and see what Gilmer does in the final 3 minutes of play right after this.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
So Corbin Davenport with the 12-yard touchdown run. And we are all knotted at 21 with 2:54 left on the clock. Once again, huge shout out to Appalachian Propane for bringing you this second quarter of action. And both quarters have been just chock full of action for both teams.
Both bands warming up in each end zone, ready to entertain you with a great halftime show.
Yeah, we had an interview with Coach Standard going during the pregame, but man, how about that Gilmer band during the pregame with the national anthem and their new sort of routine, and they looked really good.
Just a reminder, folks.
So Fannin County should be proud of their kicker. He's put 2 of the 3 in the end zone. And the Bobcats here, not that they won't try to score, but they get the ball to start the second half. So just the main thing you don't want to do here is turn it over and give Fannin County a chance for a quick score. But that hadn't really been the issue with this offense, that's for sure.
So first and 10, Bobcats going to kick it out wide to Watkins. He's got room again and still on his feet all the way out to midfield, and he is hit way,
out of bounds,
way
yeah,
late.
that's going to add
15. Way late. Looks like that time 88 for
That's a
Fannin.
frustration hit. You can see he's out of bounds here for several steps, and he's already stopped running.
And that is Noah Burnett. He's a freshman and a great kid, but a really, really bad decision that time. And as you mentioned, a frustration and aggression penalty at that time. And Gilmer, look at there, almost in the red zone again.
You can see he sort of slacks up and then boom, and it could have been either one. It's out of bounds, it's helmet, it's head to head. Reality is that could have. I don't know what the rule in high school is for hitting with the crown of the helmet, but if it's the same as college, that could get you out of the game.
So Gilmer now 1st and 10 at the 35 after one play. Hunter Watkins tonight just putting on a show.
Ooh.
And say something good about him. He slips and falls down. My apologies to the entire Watkins family.
There you go.
Another one of those really great kids. You know, you mentioned you and I get to know the players and the parents, and just really, really good kids out there giving it their all. And Watkins and Kiker and some of these other players that are seniors, we've seen them play all 4 years, and they have to be having the time of their life on a team that's so much better.
And there's families there that have played, that have come before them, so their legacies, not just first-time players. So they're going to throw the ball.
And he's got a man wide open. Everything going right for the Bobcats. It is going to be another touchdown. Gilmer going crazy here tonight.
And that pass to number 82, Daniel Bryson. And again, first time they've thrown a pass all night. And the receiver's wide open down the center of the field. And anybody that thought this game was going to have 28 points from the Bobcats in the first half, other than the coaching staff and the players, would be surprised.
Yeah, Caleb, you're down there, man. You could have caught that pass. Beautifully designed play and just the right moment for Gilmer.
I'm not sure that we were going to see 28 combined points tonight between these two teams. Gilmer with a lot of offense there. And like you mentioned, the one time you go to the air, little play action there on the fake. And beautifully thrown, beautifully executed, great route running there to get open and catch it in stride for the touchdown. And got to put a little bit of fear in this Fannin defense here that, they've ran it all night. If you give them the look, they're going to throw it and put it in the air. And Gilmer answering back one more time.
Yeah, and the Rebels are going to get the ball back. I mean, there's a minute 49. That's enough. That's an eternity in this game. So a minute 49 and 2 timeouts. That's twice as much time as they need.
Yeah, going back to Caleb for a minute. So, Caleb, you said something that I really think is insightful. The three of us over the last 5 or 6 years have watched a lot of these games together. Gilmer, at least tonight, seems like that they can kill you in any way. And yeah, they had a good option running attack, but we never really thought there was a threat of the pass. You mentioned, Caleb, whatever the look is, it seems like that this coaching staff can adjust to it and hurt you in any way.
Absolutely, and we talked pregame about the biggest growth year 1 to year 2, game 1 to game 2. Gilmer's getting a little bit of both here tonight, and this is an offense that's comfortable, knows what it's capable of, and can execute it really well. And Fannin's not going to throw them anything that they can't attack and get a result that they want out of it.
Well, the thing you got to think about is Gilmer's doing this with a sophomore quarterback. Right? So just steady on that for a minute, because most of the time you think got to have a junior or senior back there in order to really expect a lot of success. And I can't. I'd grade the quarterback for both teams at 100 tonight, but certainly Rellinger's had a great game.
And one of the things that you heard Coach Standard say pregame was that Rellinger has a chance to be one of the people that goes down in the record books after his career's over. Gilmer is going to pick up the kickoff. Wow, so a pooch kick and nobody from Fannin picks it up, and Gilmer's going to get another possession inside the red zone with a minute 45 on the clock.
Wow, Gilmer's strategy was to pooch kick, but Watkins is the one down the field that catches that ball on the first bounce. And all of a sudden now Gilmer's set up on the 28-yard line.
Yeah, so not quite in the red zone. Caleb, we were running our mouths and weren't paying attention. How'd that happen?
Confusion there for Gilmer to bounce that thing. Kind of caught Fannin napping a little bit. A lot of negative body language now for Fannin. A lot of frustration that they allowed that to happen. So this Fannin defense really going to have to bow up right here and get a stop.
Minute 45 and 2 timeouts for the Bobcats.
So Gilmer under center, plenty of time to do what they want to do. And why would you do anything except hand it to Watkins? And towels flying, but Watkins going to be taken down after a short gain. Minute 35 on the clock. You've got a couple timeouts, so not in too big of a hurry, but you want to get moving.
He could be getting sort of tired.
You would think so.
He's run a lot of wind sprints tonight.
And how about that from Coach Eddie Marietta, having your star players on your coverage team just for situations like that?
Well, and that's a trend in football. You see that at all the major colleges. I think Saban sort of started that little trend of putting his best players on the kickoff team.
Well, congratulations to Lord Voldemort himself for that 2nd down and 8. This time it's the big fullback Titus. He rumbles and stumbles down. It'll be 3rd and short. And Coach Standard going to take his first of 2 timeouts, and I think that's a good place to call it. So, Dell, put yourself in the coach's position here. You've got 3rd and short. You can run it outside, try to catch him again. You can just move the chains with Titus. You can try to catch him napping, play action. What are you doing here?
Well, you're in 4-down territory, and you're 3rd and fairly short. So the playbook's open to you here. You can do anything you want to. And as long as he has 1 timeout left, there's no restriction on run pass. So it just depends. I mean, this might be a place where you want to throw another pass, but the running game is so good, and you may want to save your timeout and try to kick it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to do here. You just want to make sure you take advantage of all those 53 seconds. And for Fannin, this is sort of a desperation point. They do not want to go 2 touchdowns down and have to kick the ball off to Gilmer to start the 2nd half. So this is they got to come up with a defensive stop. And Caleb, I think, alluded to it. There's some body language down there from the Rebels. It's not, they'll have halftime to get that fixed. But, a lot of seniors on this team, they don't expect to be down.
So here it is, 3rd and 3. Rellinger is going to keep it.
He's got the corner if he wants it.
He's there. Oh, and they say he goes out at about the 4-yard line, but it will be a first down.
Somebody's got to get that clock stopped. Ran 3 more seconds. Well, now they gave him a touchdown.
So it looked like at first they marked him out, but they're going to call it a touchdown. And so Rellinger into the end zone for the 2nd time for another Bobcat touchdown. And
huge score for Gilmer there.
Yeah. We couldn't see the 2nd official. He was blocked off there by all the players for Gilmer, but man, 34-21 here, and these folks at Gilmer are absolutely ecstatic.
They are having a great time.
So the left-footed senior kicker for the Bobcats kicks it up again. 5th extra point is up, and it is good. We're going to take a minute to catch our breath, and we'll be right back. 41 seconds still left in this wild first half here in Gilmer County.
United Country Talking Rock Realty says it best. I'm happy as long as I can see Sharp Top. From the ground up, new home to complete renovation or remodel, we have combined the amazing workmanship of SGC Groups, transforming the forgotten to the fabulous. Teamwork makes the dream work. For buying, selling, or flipping, call Sherry Martin at 404-375-0590 or Evelyn Calhoun at 770-733-0779.
Luttrell's Hardware in Copper Hill, Tennessee is your one-stop do-it-yourself shop. We stock everything from fasteners, electrical and plumbing parts, power tools, animal feed, and so much more. Save yourself a trip or 2 into town and come see us at Luttrell's Hardware on Highway 68 in Copper Hill, next to Runway Fireworks, or give us a call at 423-548-3300.
So this Gilmer special teams unit, who has provided all sorts of entertainment for us tonight, is up again, and they're going to pooch it, and I suspect somebody's going to catch it. Yeah. So it is, I believe, Davenport, and he's going to give them great field position. So this is another one of those risk-reward conversations. So the risk is you give Fannin field position, but the reward, as we just saw, is an extra possession and a touchdown. And so hats off to Coach Marietta, Coach Standard, for their willingness to make those decisions tonight.
Well, and I think they're trying to keep it away from the Fannin County return game. I mean, the one time they did a straightaway kickoff, the Rebels returned it down to the 30-yard line of Gilmer. So there's two things at play.
So Weaver with a throw that time incomplete. There is one thing we have not seen tonight so far, and that's a punt. These offenses moving up and down the field.
And a turnover. We haven't seen a punt or a turnover.
So well-played game, just both offenses executing well, and shows you what we know. We all predicted a low-scoring game, and we haven't gotten that. It's like a timeout going to be called by Gilmer.
They had one to use, so why not use it? You don't want to give up a late score here. And I noticed the Bobcats are playing a little bit of prevent defense. You and I both have opinions about that.
Yes, we do, but you're just trying to get out of here. You love to have this lead.
And get the ball to start second.
Yeah, right, you're right. Caleb, what is the feeling down there? The folks, you're kind of down there close to where the alumni section is and the band, and so what's the atmosphere like down there on the field?
Over there, not a lot of action from the Fannin side, but this Gilmer side really energetic. You can feel a really positive vibe. The sideline with the players, the alumni group that's down here, the band's excited. It's pretty almost a surreal experience considering where this Gilmer program has been the last several seasons. To know you're just going toe-to-toe with a really good rival and got the upper hand.
Yeah, and just a ton of excitement for everybody here, but the game is not over, so you have to get a stop here and then sort of do what you do. And another screen play, and still on his feet. I believe that is Davenport.
Running very hard.
Through there.
Running very, very hard.
That is Davenport, so big pickup.
And I think, even though the Bobcat crowd feels good, I can tell you the coaching staff doesn't feel good because really they haven't been able to stop Fannin tonight. And that's, that has to worry them going into the second half. You don't want to have to depend on your offense to continue to put this level of points. You don't want to have to score 35 more in the second half to win.
So Fannin in really good shape, 18 seconds here. Got a couple of shots.
And one timeout.
You definitely don't want to go into the locker room with a big deficit. But you don't want to make a mistake here either. Got a wide open receiver right by the sideline. Little pitch and catch that time. And you mentioned the prevent defense. That doesn't happen in your regular defense.
Right, the Bobcats are playing 4 defensive backs or safeties about 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. They're just planting their feet. So the line of scrimmage is the 37. They're planting their feet back on the 24. And the whole thing is don't let anybody get behind you. There's 12 seconds left to go. Just don't let anybody get behind you. But Fannin's going to go long, so.
Another pitch and catch there. Only took, well, the clock's still running over there. Says they took 6 seconds off the clock on that one, so.
Coach Cheatham was aware of that. He's discussing the rule book with the officials this week.
Yeah, I think they probably deserve another second or two back on the clock from what was going on, and they're discussing that. They're going to put 1 second back on, so 7 seconds left. Maybe 2 plays if you do them quickly.
So they're going to throw one more short one, and that was incomplete.
Yep, so
now they'll have to go to the end zone.
And that clock continued to run. That Coach Cheatham not happy. You can't. The Gilmer players saying, "Let's go." The buzzer sounded. That's not going to work.
Yeah. So for folks at home, this clock in the stadium is operated by one of the officials in the crew. It is not operated by a hometown person. So there's not an advantage whether this game's played in Blue Ridge or played in LJ. The official that mans the clock is one of the crew on the field that comes from an association, not in Gilmer County.
So we can all say without bias, he needs to get it together, right?
That's right, both sides.
Final play of the first half here. Fannin not sending the kicking unit on. They're going to give it a heave at the end zone, and Weaver looking for some room, and he's going to throw it. It will be out of bounds And barring a flag, that will do it for the first half. Back and forth action here. We will head to the locker room with the Bobcats in control, 35-21. Do not go anywhere. We've got some thoughts from Coach Chad Cheatham. We've got both bands. A lot of excitement coming up at halftime. Thanks for being with us here as we have our first game of the year on ETC.
You're guaranteed prompt, reliable service with every job when you hire the original plumber. We believe in traditional values like integrity, honesty, and hard work. We offer transparent, upfront pricing, and our techs will take the time to educate you about your options. We have years of experience handling all types of plumbing work. From tankless water heaters to digging sewer lines, we can handle all of your residential or commercial needs. The original plumber is here to help you with your plumbing, septic, and HVAC needs.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes! Make a plan today.
And we are back, and the halftime entertainment is just around the corner. The first band that will play will be the Fannin County Marching Band. We're excited to have them visiting from up the road in Blue Ridge. They always do a great job. We'll have the Gilmer Band in just a moment, and we'll also, if we have time, hopefully we will hear from Coach Chad Cheatham. Had a chance to catch up with him earlier, but as the band sort of gets ready, Mandel, I used the word during the break. I don't like to say often that I'm shocked, but really I'm shocked not by the fact that Gilmer's winning. It's 35-21 at the half.
I think that both teams have executed at a very, very high level on offense. And I think that's what you're seeing here is there have been very few mistakes. There are no penalties setting them back, no turnovers setting them back, and they are just executing at an extremely high level. And then you're seeing what both of them are capable of doing from a scoring standpoint when they do that.
Yeah, but both of these defenses, as we mentioned pregame, kept their opponents last week under 200 yards.
Right.
And there are at
Over
least a couple of individual players who may be over the 200-yard mark.
Right.
And so it's been very, very impressive. But at this time, we're going to get ready to send it down to the field. The drum major is making her way up to the podium. So as she does that, we will send you down to the field and turn it over to the Fannin County High School Marching Band.
Drum major, Jalene Gilreath. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fannin County High School Marching Band.
It's officially nighttime, and it's a lot less boring. What was that for? Really? Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Fannin County High School Marching Band. The Fannin Band would like to give a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful sponsors, State Line Barbecue, Habaneros, Clay to Custom, McKaysville Properties, the Kiwanis Club, Blue Ridge Stone Depot, Dawson Associates Attorneys at Law, Blue Ridge Adventure Wear, GoCo Incorporated, First Franklin Financial, The Terminator Pest Control, Sisson, DuPont and Carter, Blue Ridge Birdseed Company, the Fannin County Empty Stocking Fund Thrift Store, TRF Pressure Washing and Painting, and the United Community Bank. Thank you all.
Since 1994, North Georgia has called on Appalachian Propane for all its propane needs. Why propane? It's extremely affordable, efficient, and most of all, clean burning. Go green and think clean with propane. Our exceptional customer service and affordable rate has made us the best choice for residential, business, and farms throughout North Georgia. So the next time you think propane, think Appalachian Propane, a division of the Thomas Oil Company since 1960. Remember, go green and think clean with Appalachian Propane.
Great job as always by the Fannin County Marching Band, and it will be Gilmer's band over there making their way onto the field. 35-21 the score here. I'll give you a little bit of a game summary so far. It was Fannin striking first with a 60-yard drive. It ended with Corbin Davenport running it in from a yard out. Gilmer, though, answered immediately. Isaac Rellinger with a 35-yard run of his own, and we saw his speed burst there, and was really impressed with that. Turnover on downs for Fannin, which has been the only drive where there wasn't a score so far, except for that last one. No punts throughout the first quarter. After that, Hunter Watkins runs at 70 yards. Fannin answered immediately with a long drive. Elijah Weaver running it in from 5 yards out. Gilmer answered right after that with maybe the most spectacular run I've ever seen here inside this stadium. A 90-yard scamper from Hunter Watkins to really set the folks here at a fever pitch. Fannin came back and scored, though, a 12-yard run from Davenport. Then Gilmer actually with the first throwing touchdown maybe that we've seen. It was about a 30-yard pass to the air, through the air to Bryson, and then Rellinger capped off the Gilmer scoring attack with a 20-yard touchdown run. And so 35-21, Dale, and you know, nobody really thought this is where we would be.
You're exactly right. And not that they couldn't be high scoring, just we hadn't seen anything that would indicate that they were going to have a first half of 35-21 on the scoreboard for each of the two teams. But reality is, like we said just a few minutes ago, the key's just been execution. These two teams can score a lot of points against anybody if they execute, and just had great execution in the first half.
And one thing that you sort of really hit on several times, mistake-free football so far. So you look, and Gilmer, you feel great, you're up 2 touchdowns, but you are a pick or a couple of fumbles away from Fannin being right back, because make no mistake about it, this Fannin offense can be lethal as well, and I think they're sort of finding themselves with Weaver putting it in the air, playing pitch and catch, and then the danger of Callahan and Davenport on the outside.
Yeah, Gilmer struggled to stop Fannin just like Fannin has struggled to stop Gilmer, so you know, it's just it's something where Gilmer's got to take the ball to start the second half, and they've got to continue. They can't really afford to go 3 and out and turn it over to Fannin. So,
not a situation where you take your foot off the gas.
No.
At all. Caleb Frady, you're down there as Gilmer's band's coming onto the field. Let's preview this second half a little bit. Do the Cats continue to dominate? You know, where the coaches really make their living is halftime adjustments.
Absolutely. You think that this Gilmer offense will continue to roll because it has really performed so smoothly, effortlessly. You can tell everyone knows their assignments, knows where they're supposed to go. I think the difference here in the second half is, can both of these teams continue to play clean football? We've talked about no turnovers, no punts. Gilmer able to steal a possession there on that pooch kick. Can both of these teams continue to play mistake-free football, because one fumble could turn this game around for either team, but also which defense adjusts better here in the second half and finds a way to slow down that other offense. I think that's going to be really the biggest key here in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about the success that this particular Fannin coaching staff has had. And, you know, they have every opportunity to make those adjustments. So,
and they will.
Yep.
You can count on it. They will. But the Gilmer County coaching staff is very mature as well.
Absolutely. So we'll send it down to the field now. The Gilmer County drum majors are getting themselves situated, so we'll turn it over to them, the Gilmer County High School Marching Band.
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
The GHS band was named grand champions at the 2021 Bowden Invitational, taking home straight superiors in every category, and was a top 10 finalist at the 2021 U.S. Band Southern States Championship in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The GHS band is directed by
Great job by the Gilmer County Marching Band. Now we're going to send you to some thoughts from Fannin head coach Chad Cheatham as they get ready for this big 2022 season. How do you get those kids to focus in? Even though you know these kids, even though you know that there's a history relationship, it's another football game.
How do you get them to focus on the rivalry games, or how do you get them to focus? Man, I think if you can't focus for a rivalry game, you're probably playing the wrong sport when it comes to football. Union and Gilmer obviously are gigantic. Getting Pickens back 45 minutes down the road is gigantic. Murphy has such a deep tradition. With Coach Gentry, who was there for so long, so many state championships, so many great athletes, so many region or district, whatever that they have over there, championships. You have to be able to get excited about that schedule. Could you drop one or two of those games? Yeah, absolutely. But they're going to be as competitive as you can play to get yourself ready for the preseason or for the postseason. And that's what you're really looking at. You want to be really competitive. You want to be really organized. You want to stay healthy. You want to make sure that going into that Gordon Central game after those 4, tough rivalry games, that you are prepared in every facet of the game, special teams, offense, defense. You know what you're doing. You know what you do the best. You tweak it a little bit week in and week out. But, you stay within what you do and you don't try to just recreate the wheel every week.
Yeah. So we've seen over the last several years this Fannin team have a lot of success. But now, what you do from year to year, you find the next group of leaders. And so you graduated last year some really strong leaders, particularly the quarterback position with Seth Reese, who could do some of everything. And so who are we looking out for? What person or what position groups to look at and say these are going to be the guys that guide this team throughout the season?
Well, I think the beauty of this team is we have the largest senior class since I've been here. So we have 20 seniors right now. And all of those have the capability of being a captain of our football team or a leader on our football team. And leadership is not, leadership is earned, leadership is developed. And now that they are in that role, they are starting to learn how to lead. Whereas, some of those guys we've had in the past were in leadership roles early in their career. The Luke Holloways and Micah O'Neills and Mosleys and guys like that. They were thrust into that role because there wasn't anybody else available. And these kids have watched those guys over the past 4 years, and I feel like we're in a really good position. Can we be more vocal? Yes. That comes with grass time. That comes with being on the field, having success, fighting through adversity, and that's what we're looking for right now from the leadership perspective. And we've got several. I mean, from Waldrop and the Cade Sands and the Collis boys who are seniors, and Logan Long has been big for us. So, I mean, sometimes Logan gets overlooked, but he's a 4-year starter. I mean, he's the first freshman we started at Fannin. That guy's got the potential to be all-state. He's been all-region every year except his freshman year. He might be the defensive player of the year if he continues to improve and do what he's doing. Sometimes people don't see his leadership ability because they see the skill guys and the ones that are scoring and all this kind of stuff. But he also plays offensive tackle for us and does a fantastic job. So I think that we have a lot of leadership in a lot of different levels with a lot of different ability that know it and know their roles and know the expectation, and they get the job done. I really can't say that one just jumps out at you, but I would rather have that situation where I've got 20 guys that I feel like they can lead and I can count on than just to be solely relying on one guy. Because if I'm relying on just that one guy, then that defense or that coach across down the hill or up the hill, that's who they're focused on. Now they got to focus on a whole different mindset, a whole different team.
That's true. Well, Coach, we're excited about the year. I know you are too. And we're just looking forward to what this year has to offer. A lot of exciting rivalry games and a lot of exciting moments to be played on this field. So we thank you for taking the time with us. Looking forward to a great year for Fannin.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Great thoughts there from Fannin head coach Chad Cheatham, as always. It was really good to spend some time with both he and Coach Standard. They were very accommodating, spent well over half an hour with both of them. Appreciate their time. But we're ready to get the second half underway, and it will be Gilmer receiving. Fannin takes the onside kick, and they do what Gilmer tried to do, and they have come up with it. That little short kick, and it will be Fannin football. How about that, Dale?
They used a special teams play to try to steal a possession, like Caleb was talking about at halftime, and did it. So they have great field position and an opportunity to get themselves right back in the game. So where we're thinking Gilmer has an advantage because they get the kickoff to start the second half, Fannin turned it into their advantage, is now they have the kickoff to start the second half, sitting inside the 50-yard line.
Caleb, Freddie, you were down there to see that. They did exactly what Gilmer had tried to do, but executed it to a T.
Absolutely executed really well there by the Rebels. Get an extra possession now here to start this second half, and a big opportunity here for Fannin. You want to try to get that ball into the end zone. Gilmer, you want to get that defense out here, see if those adjustments that you've made, you're going to get those tested really quickly.
Yeah, so huge momentum shift there. And we knew, we were talking at halftime, that Fannin was going to have to do something, but that's a gutsy call, because if Gilmer puts it in the end zone, you're down 3 scores.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a head thing for the Bobcats, because they spent a lot of time towards the end of halftime getting their offense set up and ready to run. Thought they'd have time to get the defense ready, and then all of a sudden Fannin County's back out there.
So Fannin doing what worked well, running the ball. That's going to be Callahan. He's right at the first down marker. We'll see if they give it to him or if they want to measure. Can't get much closer than that.
And what Fannin's done is they've passed to open up the run. So they've got the field spread, and they're forcing the Bobcats to play in space, and they're doing a great job of mixing up the pass and the run.
They will give them the first down, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That first drive, they came out slinging it around like an NFL team, and then now back to a more traditional look. 2 backs back this in the backfield this time, Sands and Callahan, flanking Weaver, the quarterback. It will be Callahan following the block of Sands. He's going to get about 8 before he's shoved down there, and just like that, Fannin knocking on the door of the red zone.
And again, the thing that stands out to me, at least from the Bobcats' perspective, is they're getting no penetration at all. Fannin County has not had a purple player in their backfield, whether they're running to the sideline or running up the middle. They're positive yards right off the bat.
While we have a minute, we want to thank Luttrell's Hardware for bringing you that halftime coverage. Battle of the Bands and the interview took up most of the time, but Luttrell's Hardware is always an awesome sponsor for us. We appreciate them bringing you that. Good pass in the soft part of that defense, and it'll be another Rebel first down.
And Fannin County is executing very, very well to start the second half.
That was Weaver to Davenport, combination that's worked well. Fannin has been in some dogfights before, of course. We think about some of the big playoff games they've had, and their big adjustment usually in the second half is to up the physicality, and so far we're seeing that. They're going to throw it this time. And Davenport delivers a blow on the way out of bounds. My goodness.
And you can see the energy level for the Rebels. Coach Cheatham certainly had a halftime talk, and you can see the energy level in all of their players right now. And you're seeing the seniors too.
Yeah, Davenport runs over Hunter Watkins there, and for the seniors, you know, I don't think they've ever lost to Gilmer. Have this Rebel group, and so a couple years of not playing, but they certainly don't want to be the group that loses. They don't want to ignite the Gilmer resurgence, if you will. Think about that game against Pace Academy 2 years ago, where everybody just knew Pace was going to come up and run Fannin off the field. In the second half, they just ran it down Pace's throat, and looks like that's what they're trying to do here. But This Gilmer team has come a long way, and so I think we're in for a back-and-forth battle this whole second half.
So Fannin can get another first down here. It's at the 1 yard line if they get a first. But again, positive yards. Nothing negative for them.
So second down. Fake it this time, and the quarterback keeps it, and he's going to be actually still on his feet. That's Davenport. He'll be close to that first down marker, down to about the 2.
Davenport on the run down to about the 3.
It's a good position to be in here. You're third, and you need a yard for the first down. 2 gets you in the end zone. You like your options here because you're in 4-down territory.
A lot of discussion between Davenport and Sands. You've got your bruiser back there, or you've got Davenport, who's also the more physical at quarterback. It's going to be Davenport, and he will punch it into the end zone for a Fannin Rebel touchdown. And just like that, Fannin has seized the momentum in the opening drive of the second half.
They did. They stole a possession and then stole a score, and now all of a sudden we're back on this 35-27 with an extra point left to go. And it's anybody's game.
So it wasn't a mistake for either team, but a beautifully timed onside kick. And just like that, it is a one-score game. Again, 35-28 here in LJ. We'll take a break and be right back.
I said, come on, darling, take me downtown, because I want to see some of that tush in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Here we go!
Little bounce in the step for the guys in blue over there as they get it to a one-possession game. By the way, we are live streaming this game. Not only, of course, are we on ETC in standard definition and high definition, but we are also simulcast on the Rebel TV YouTube channel, so the Fannin network where the students are so invested in working up there. We are also coming to you there. So if you are watching us on ETC and you have friends that are not in the ETC viewing area, they can find us there. Go to YouTube and search Fannin Rebel TV.
And we will be there next Friday night.
So some more exciting special teams action. These kickoffs have been an adventure. That time it's a squib kick, and Gilmer jumps on it, and now there's a flag on the field. Caleb Frady, man, what's going on down there?
Not sure what that flag was about. That was a late flag. Gilmer wanted it. But Fannin again trying its luck after having the really successful onside kick, trying to short kick it straight to a lineman up close and try to get a ricochet and maybe steal another possession.
Well, the Bobcats had some hands people on the field that time. Ian Berry recovers for the Bobcats on the bounce.
Going to be a personal foul on Fannin too. So not only does Gilmer get the ball, but they'll get an additional 15. So
wow,
the momentum swinging back and forth.
Didn't see what that was, but the Gilmer coaches were immediately calling for it.
Yeah,
so
something late behind the play, but just like that, here we go. Gilmer has a chance to make it a two-score game again. First and 10 from the 35. It'll be the fullback up the middle, and he gashes that defense. He gets 5, maybe 6 on the first down carry.
So I started to say, so now I can't get credit for it. that look for the Bobcats early here in the second half to be taking the ball more to the fullback, because you think Fannin had to make an adjustment to get the wide angles covered because they'd given up so many points out there. And my guess is Titus will have a nice second half here.
Trying to keep them honest are the Bobcats. Good call to LN. That's 2 times in a row, but it's 9 yards, so now it's going to be 3rd and short, and you have your entire playbook at your disposal. But 2 carries to the big fullback, and when you've got a fullback as good as Titus, you don't mind doing that.
Well, Rellinger knows sort of where he's going when he gets to the line of scrimmage, and he sees where the linebackers are. So if they're trying to spread themselves to either side here to get out there for the wide runs, then they're going to leave themselves vulnerable in the middle.
And that's one of the things we haven't talked about in this option, the competency of the quarterback. He's reading everything when he gets to the line, and even the middle of the play there, as we see Titus, and he's going to be across for the first down. But, not only does he have to be talented physically, but you have to be such an exceptional decision maker.
Yeah, if you get in depth with Coach Standard over the years, that's really been key for them, is they've had really, really smart kids at quarterback. I mean, they've had plenty of talent. But it is definitely, and it's not just being smart. You have to be quick in your thought processes. You have to read the defense and move quickly. Fannin County really cheating inside now, so it's opening it up for the outside.
So we'll see what is called here. Hand it to the fullback again, and slowly lulling him to sleep.
Yep, Caleb mentioned that early in the game, and that's exactly what you can feel happening here is pound the middle, pound the middle, pound the middle, and then when you least expect it, somebody's going to be running wide.
So 2nd down and 8 here from about the 22-yard line.
Two wideouts, first time we've seen that tonight.
Just another look, and it's up to Titus again, and just a shoestring tackle that kept him from getting in the end zone. I tell you, the other thing that this accomplishes, besides setting up the outside stuff, is it makes your point that we respect you, but we are going to run this ball down your throat, try and stop it. And Titus really, really doing a good job, and shout out to that offensive line as well.
Yeah, because they're undersized. I mean, Fannin really has great size on the defensive and offensive line.
So 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. It's Titus again, all the way down to the 5.
Well, if it's working. Titus is probably sitting there saying, I'm okay if somebody else gets one carry.
Well, it's so interesting. We talked about adjustments. Pretty clear what the adjustment was for Gilmer.
And I think that was an anticipated adjustment. They anticipated Fannin would do something to stop that outside run.
2nd and 2. They can get a first down, getting to the 3. They go away from Titus, and you're going to lose a yard.
They're in more of a traditional wishbone look that time.
Yeah.
And Fannin got great penetration there off the side.
I believe that was Will Kiker on the carry.
71, Jeremy Tamman. Just and one of those senior guys got in off the edge and got to Kiker before he could get a speed.
So 3rd and 3 here. Brings up an interesting decision if you get stopped. This is not shaping up to be a field goal type game, as you mentioned earlier.
It's 4 down, so they're going to get Kiker on the corner.
And he will punch it into the end zone. Had to make sure there. Another Gilmer County touchdown. The Bobcats cannot be stopped here tonight.
But that was the more interesting. That's the more traditional pound the middle, and get one out wide. And Kiker into the end zone, so he gets in on the action.
6-yard run for Will Kiker. I'm going to say something, but I'm going to wait until after this extra point to say it. I shall not be called a jinx in the first game of the season. Fannin jumps offline, but so far we have seen perfect execution on the extra points too, and sometimes in high school that can be sketchy, but both teams doing really well. So special teams a big part of the narrative tonight.
Yeah, now you get a half a distance to the goal. Do you change up and go for 2 here? Looks like not.
After this extra point, we're going to hear from Caleb Frady, who was an up-close and personal witness to that score. Extra point is up and good. So Caleb, Gilmer pounded the rock, and then it was Kiker on that final run that punched it in.
Well, we talked earlier about how sometimes, you go up the middle, lull you to sleep, almost like it's a 3-play in a cloud of dust scenario. But on that drive, that fullback getting good yardage each time he touched the football, setting Kiker up really well for that outside run, really well blocked again. But a ton of credit to that Gilmer line. They're undermanned size-wise against Fannin defensively, and Gilmer's able to just really drive in there, move off of blocks, and make some plays. And so great job there by the offense to get the ball back after letting Fannin get that kick and score. You get your own kick back, and you run down and score again. So a great answer there by Gilmer.
For the Bobcats here, and so it's kickoff time again, and who knows what to expect, but we'll see.
I think Gilmer's comfortable right now with punching it into that middle ground. So Fannin puts 6 guys up front, and they've got 2 guys back deep, and then there's 3 trying to cover the whole middle ground. And I think they're comfortable trying to put it there. I think they don't want to kick deep, and I think the numbers don't work in their favor to try an onside kick.
And really, the Fannin, the middle areas you've talked about, they have not been comfortable catching the ball. And so if you can put it there, you do yourself some favors. If I'm Fannin, I don't mind employing a fair catch by one of those guys just to make sure you get the ball. But we'll see what they do. It's going to be another one of those pooch kicks. This one will be taken by one of the deep guys at about the 15. Trying to set up a return, and a great job by the Bobcat coverage team that time. I believe that's Kiker who comes up with the tackle. So that time they did what they wanted to do. Davenport took it, and he was met. That was Kiker, and also in on the tackle, Kendall Sanders, the wide receiver. So good job by Gilmer.
I think Fannin's going to have their, really poorest field position tonight. Not that it's they've been good from anywhere, so not too much to worry about there.
Special teams are always an adventure, but we usually mean that in a negative way. This has been exciting for both sides. Weaver, first time we've really seen him have to scramble, and he's going to throw it away.
It was a nice pass. I think that was caught. Davenport did a great job of hanging 2 feet on the sideline and catching that.
Wow, that's amazing. Almost like he was trying to throw it out of bounds. We'll see. He rolls out away from the pressure. First time we've really seen any pressure tonight. And
there's a flag right down. I think there was a takedown on the they're calling an ineligible receiver downfield.
Okay.
I thought on the pass rush, Gilmer got penetration for the first time. We've seen that, and there was sort of a takedown on that, but that was not the call. It was an ineligible receiver, and that happens sometimes when the quarterback scrambles. You're going to block for a few seconds and then get outside.
Right, and talk about a little bit what that rule is when you become ineligible.
So, if you're covered, as they call it, a lineman or someone that's on the line of scrimmage, 5 yards downfield.
Yeah, and so a lot of times you're blocking, but as that quarterback rolls, you take
get
a few
further
extra
and
steps.
further downfield. Exactly. You're not really in the pattern, but they're calling it an eligible receiver downfield. It was a good tackle there for the Bobcats.
So it'll be 2nd down and 9 for Fannin, and if you're Fannin, you can't afford an empty possession.
No, the way both of these teams are playing, neither of them can afford an empty possession. But that last drive from Gilmer did eat up a lot of clock. And for the first time, we're seeing some penetration off that side as the Bobcats, there, number Number 82. Looks like he got some penetration and comes up a little empty there. Daniel Bryson.
Yeah,
Bryson Daniel, sorry.
Yeah, the wide receiver over there. And I tell you what, it's like we've got an injured Bobcat.
That's him. He got up, patting his helmet.
So,
and he's caught a pass for a touchdown and almost had an interception and got to push through the block to get a tackle there.
While we have a second, we want to recognize our third quarter sponsor, Bill Holt Chevrolet of Blue Ridge. And Bill Holt has been with us a long time, and so we appreciate them being a loyal sponsor. So the next time you're up in Blue Ridge, and it looks like they're going to be moving locations down Highway 515 a little bit in the near future. And so go see our good friends at Bill Holt and buy a new or used General Motors product. We got Chevrolet and GMC and lots of used vehicles from a variety of companies, and just some good folks to do business with. So go see our friends at Bill Holt. So Caleb, while we are tending to the injured Bobcat, you see Gilmer finally for the first time getting some penetration. Is that a depth issue or an exhaustion issue? How are the Bobcats able to turn this around so far on this drive?
Maybe a little bit of exhaustion. All these Fannin guys play in both ways here on the line to give that size advantage, but those big guys can get winded a little bit here. It has cooled off quite a bit now that the sun has went down, but I think Gilmer just making some adjustments as well, finding a way just to dig deep, find another level, and get off of blocks and able to get in there and make some plays defensively.
Yeah,
huge third down play here, though.
Yeah, we mentioned upping the physicality, and so far, Gilmer's been able to do that with both on offense and defense. 3rd and 11, Weaver looking for a man. He's got one across the middle, but it is knocked away. And so
almost picked and a stop for the first time. That's tipped by Blake Reese.
Yeah. So 4th down. It's going to be our first punt, Dell, I believe.
Be the first time we've seen a punt tonight if the Rebels punt it.
Yeah, you can never tell with
special teams have been interesting tonight.
Bobcats do have a man deep.
Mason Smith. You're going to get decent field position here. You don't want to have a turnover. And the Bobcats are playing it like straight up defense. Great punt. Nice high spiral.
Wow. It's going backwards, though, the opposite way. It bounces at the 31 and goes all the way back to the 37. So
that was a great kick. It hit on the 31. You're exactly right. And he had great spin on it. He looked like a PGA pro playing it easily.
But still great field position for Gilmer, and so we'll see what they can do. And you'll never say when the game is over, but if you go up 3 scores, you're in really, really prime position.
Well, with the offense Gilmer runs, and they can kill so much clock, you're right. A 3-score lead becomes very difficult to overcome. But Fannin County has the ability to create extra possessions and extra points. So it's all about execution and not having turnovers.
Yeah, and if you're Coach Standard, you want to be very sure-handed with the football. That Fannin defense swarming Will Kiker.
Yeah, Gilmer was right reading the fullback into the middle of the line because Fannin is really overplaying those wings.
So Standard all the way out there giving the guys an earful. He didn't like the way that play was executed.
Well, I think he's talking to Rellinger right now. I think maybe he got the wrong read. And you're now second and 12, whereas if you'd have gone to the fullback there, you would have gotten 2 or 3 positive, and you'd be in a whole different situation.
Rellinger, only a sophomore. He has looked very polished tonight, but as we mentioned, it takes time in this system to really figure out what you're doing. So they fake it this time, and Rellinger's got a man. Going to be out past the first down marker and all the way into Rebel territory.
So think about that. You don't have a receiver to that side of the field, so to the wide side of the field, and he fakes to the fullback, and the fullback just comes on through the line and curls out, and all Rellinger's got to do is get it out there to him, which was not easy because he was being pursued, but then it's a lot of green grass.
So another big chunk play there from the Bobcats, and that one through the air. I think that's only the second completed pass we've seen.
2 passes, both of them completed to the right team. So
it'll be good for your percentage. This time Rellinger's got it. Gets positive yardage. Kind of kept stretching that thing out.
You know, Coach Lombardi, who arguably is one of the greatest coaches ever, always said when you pass the ball, there are only 3 things that can happen, and 2 of them are bad.
That's true. That's a good point. That will end the third quarter, 42-28. Both teams are able to punch it in one time, but the Bobcats maintain a 14-point lead. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and be back for the final quarter right after this.
United Country Talking Rock Realty says it best. I'm happy as long as I can see Sharp Top. From the ground up, new home to complete renovation or remodel, we have combined the amazing workmanship of SGC Groups, transforming the forgotten to the fabulous. Teamwork makes the dream work. For buying, selling, or flipping, call Sherry Martin at 404-375-0590 or Evelyn Calhoun at 770-733-0779.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter of action. It's Gilmer with a 14-point lead at home, and Fannin trying to desperately get a stop here and get the ball back. And I tell you what, Huff Mosley has been rocking in a way, Dell, that we haven't seen in quite some time.
A lot of people on their feet. The stadium is full. Fannin County brought a great crowd down here, and the Gilmer side is completely full. So, I mean, it's just a great atmosphere. It's been a long time since we've seen this atmosphere like this. You have to go back to 2014.
And make no mistake, the Fannin faithful, they're sticking around. They've seen their team come back from much worse, but at some point you've got to get a defensive stop.
The Rebels need a takeaway, and the Bobcats need to avoid giving one up.
And we expect to see a steady dose of that. That's Brock Titus. He's going to be a couple yards short, though, so we've got a 3rd and 2 upcoming. So if you're Fannin, you got to get 2 stops essentially to get the ball back here.
So what you're looking at here is taking that ball into the middle now as it gets later and later in the game. Titus is more and more of a weapon. It's more and more difficult to stop. But Fannin's really tight on the inside, so it might be a good time to spring one wide.
Shift on the line here, 3rd and 2. They're going to hand it to Titus, and as you mentioned, looked like Fannin was ready, so 4th down coming up. And
depends on the spot.
So I don't think there's really a question of the decision. The question is the play call. What are you going to do?
Well, and the reality is you're going to read those linebackers again. I mean, if they're as tight as they were that time, I'm going to say pull it and get to the corner as quick as you can.
Fannin bringing in a little more beef. They're expecting Titus up the middle. Looks
I
like
think the coach is going to take a timeout. I think he's going to let that clock run down to 1 and call a timeout and get some more clock off.
Yep, you're absolutely right. While they take a timeout, Caleb has been down there taking it all in, and you know, there's a path, Caleb, for both teams to win. For Gilmer, the path is simple. You get this 1st down and you run the clock down as far as you can and put it away. For Fannin, maybe you know, more than any other point in this game, you desperately have to get a stop here on 4th and 1.
Got to get a stop and probably need to try to score relatively quickly. I mean, still plenty of time to go, 10:25 here in this 4th quarter, but you don't need to go on a long drive here. You need to probably score relatively quickly, move with a little tempo, because then you got to turn around and get another stop. And Gilmer's been good at eating clock here. If Gilmer gets his 1st down, it is a very tough uphill climb here for Fannin moving forward. So game not over yet, but this is a huge play right here for the Bobcats.
Buckle up here, partner. If they convert this 4th and 1, this place is gonna pop. 42-28, 4th and 1, biggest play of the game thus far.
Fannin has a lot of size in the middle of that line, and they're going to be tied in there. So the other thing that we haven't seen Gilmer do a lot yet this year is the hard count and try to pull them offside.
Be a great time to do it. So here we go. Rellinger's going to keep it, and he will scamper all the way into the end zone. All that beef piled up in the middle, and Rellinger popped it out for a Bobcat touchdown.
Everybody went after Titus, and that's exactly what you expect to see. Everybody hit him. Boy, he got hammered at the line of scrimmage, and Rellinger just made it to the end zone. Great play for the Bobcats there.
Wow, and great play call and great execution by that offense. And, you know, we talked about Coach Standard in the second year, how much more precise this offense would be. I mean, it's been almost mistake-free the whole night.
It's been very, very good. There's no question about it. This is the best execution that this offense has had since he's been here.
(49-28), the score. Caleb Frady, we talked right before it happened about the desperation for Fannin, and they put it all in on Brock Titus, but Rellinger just pulled it and burst to speed to the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Fannin had it diagnosed. You kind of know what they're maybe wanting to do there, but again, it's a guessing game a little bit for that defense, and when the offense knows what it's wanting to do in that offense, it makes an accurate read. You're going to pop a big play, and Gilmer was able to do exactly that, and you're seeing so much more improvement out of this Bobcat program here in year 2 and even over last week, which was a nice win for the Gilmer program. So things really kind of clicking together here. You see the improvements that Paul Standard has already made to this program here in year 2, and you know, the Gilmer crowd's certainly got to be happy with the results here tonight.
And one other thing to call out, neither team has had any player cramp up, and that is just so unusual to be in the first game of the year. And even though with all the science around hydration, yet the kids still have to have the discipline to do it. And it has been amazing that we are 10 minutes left to go in the first quarter, and we haven't had anybody down with cramps.
Yeah, and so we'll look at this game and we'll talk about Gilmer and their improvement, but I think there's been an improvement. I'm here in year number 7 now, living in North Georgia. The standard of, no pun intended, the standard for these programs here in North Georgia is growing every year. There's, nobody is saying, oh, we're a mountain town, we're smaller schools. That there is a level of expectation, and it's up and down this whole quarter. We've seen it at Pickens with an undefeated season just a few years ago, Fannin over the last couple of years, and now Gilmer going out and making a splash of a hire, probably the best hire, across the state in the last couple of years, bringing Coach Standard here. And so what you're seeing is a full investment, and that starts, as you mentioned, with conditioning and all the way through the program. And, hopefully entering a very bright period for football here in LJ and beyond.
Well, and Coach Standard established the fact that football was a year-round task. And kids work at it year-round, and that's different. That hasn't really been that way, but it's certainly at other places that's the expectation. If you think around places like Dalton or Gainesville, where they've had perennial winners, or you think about Valdosta, you think about any of those kind of places, the fact that you're working at your football craft year-round is just not unusual.
Yeah, you mentioned Gainesville. How about a big hire there? They go and get Josh Niblett from Hoover, and pull off one of the biggest upsets in the state last week. We got a Bobcat player down. We're going to step aside.
As soon as I talk about cramps, what do we have?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to step aside for 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
Since 1994, North Georgia has called on Appalachian Propane for all its propane needs. Why propane? It's extremely affordable, efficient, and most of all, clean burning. Go green and think clean with propane. Our exceptional customer service and affordable rate has made us the best choice for residential, business, and farms throughout North Georgia. So the next time you think propane, think Appalachian Propane, a division of the Thomas Oil Company since 1960. Remember, go green and think clean with Appalachian Propane.
Aspen Hadaway is down again, and yeah, it looks like, Dale, you were correct in the diagnosis, trying to stretch him out. But in the fourth quarter of a game, when you're playing linebacker, that's to be expected.
Well, I just regret bringing it up.
Yeah, I am happy that you were the jinx and not me, at least here in the first game. That can change throughout the year, but by the way, just to plug our next game, next week we make the trip up the road just a little bit as we continue with the 5:15 battles. It'll be the Dragons from Pickens driving to Blue Ridge to face this Rebel team. That's going to be another exciting matchup.
So when Attaway was out of the game before, Fannin had some success running it in the middle.
First down pass there from Weaver to Davenport.
So now you're going to see a spread hurry up. It's a good thing to do, throw the ball a lot, especially if you throw it short, because incomplete pass stops the clock. And you have chances to break them.
Fannin that time faked the pass out to Sands and looked for somebody in the middle, but incomplete.
Look for Bryson Holloway.
And Elijah Weaver, coming into his own a little bit tonight. You look down and you see Fannin trailing by 3 scores. Their offense has done really well, and Weaver
They scored 28 points.
Right, and the young player, he's a sophomore, trying to step into some really big shoes. You don't replace Luke Holloway and Seth Reese, in that role, but Weaver has a chance to really grow into this offense and to be a good player as well. I think he definitely has the tools. Just got to get comfortable in his own skin, and obviously you can tell that the comfort level is with Davenport right now, but got to get comfortable with some of these other receivers as well, like Bryson Holloway, who you mentioned, like Sands, some of these other weapons out on the perimeter.
Well, it's a tough spot for Weaver to be in now because he knows he's got to throw, but everybody else knows he has to throw. So it's not like it was on the first drive when he had the element of surprise. Now he's playing into guys that are looking for the pass. They're not really defending the run very much at all, and so it's a much tougher game now to pass.
Weaver under pressure.
Did a nice job getting out of that.
Yep, and that's going to be incomplete, so it'll bring up another 4th down for the Rebels. And
Rebels' offensive line has just done a great job of stonewalling the Bobcats' rush. I mean, they just don't let any penetration happen. So Coach Cheatham definitely has something to be working on. I'm telling you, if I'm the Gilmer County coaching staff, there's no way I have 2 guys back to take a punt here, because there's no way Fannin County ought to be punting.
Yeah, with 9:40 left, it's kind of a moot point.
And down 3 scores, right?
Yeah. They will.
But they're going to punt it.
And so it's another good one, going to take a better bounce this time, and Gilmer will
not take a chance of fumbling.
Yeah, they'll be get the ball at the 21. But if you're Gilmer, the name of the game right now is eating clock, and luckily they have the offense to do it.
I think the name of the game might be Titus.
Yes, that's right.
You're going to get a steady dose of the fullback right here. Whoever's in that spot, you're going to get a steady dose of the fullback.
Caleb Frady, you're down there. Do you second-guess the decision to punt there, or if you're Fannin, are you hoping for a turnover or something like that?
I think if you're Fannin, you're maybe hoping for a quick stop here, a couple of fullback dives, then you get a stop on 3rd down and get some decent field position out of the punt. But otherwise, it was almost a waving of a white flag a little bit there for Fannin, because if Gilmer's able to reel off a couple of first downs here, this thing's over.
Yeah, certainly felt that way. That's a good point. So instead of handing it off to Titus, they will lose yardage out wide with Kiker. Interesting choice there, but as you mentioned, this is a read offense. You're reading what the defense is giving you.
Well, I think Fannin made it clearly at halftime. They made a commitment not to give any more touchdowns out wide, and can't blame them. You just see if Gilmer County does something different, and that worked into it, because you're exactly right. Now you're behind the down markers. You're 2nd and 12.
So Gilmer in the catbird seat, 49-28, trying to run the clock out. Going to pass it this time. That's interesting.
That's unusual, because that stops the clock, but it went to Mason Smith, sensing an opportunity to maybe catch Fannin County in tight, but it didn't happen. So now you're 3rd and 12.
Yeah, and putting your quarterback in a position of throwing across his body, and maybe sometimes you overthink, you outthink yourself, because we were thinking a steady dose of the fullback, and now, what if we had 30 seconds tick off the clock and it's 3rd down?
Yeah, it didn't didn't eat up as near as much clock as they could, and Fannin has all 3 of their timeouts left, so you're giving them life. They still have an opportunity to get a run at you, and you haven't punted yet.
So confusion, and
Gilmer takes the timeout.
Yeah, Coach Standard going to have to call a timeout, and he's not happy about it. He doesn't look like. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and be right back for third down.
I said, come on, darling, take it downtown, because I want to see some of that tush in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Here we go!
So third down and 12 for Gilmer here, and kind of a disastrous drive. While we have a second, we want to thank our fourth quarter sponsor, the Original Plumber. When it's always good to have a friend in the plumbing business when you have emergency needs or just regular maintenance and upkeep. Call our friends at the Original Plumber. Third down and 12 here for the Cats. Surely you don't put it in the air again. They don't, and good job by Fannin of stringing it out, so they're going to get the ball back with not a lot of time lost. The decision to punt looking better and better.
Yep. Well, I think that's that's better percentage than trying to hit a 4th and 10 play for sure.
It's almost like those coaches know what they're doing.
But it's interesting, Bobcats backed up deep in their own territory and trying to get a punt off here.
Dangerous, dangerous return man in Corbin Davenport standing at midfield.
Exactly.
One of those kick out of bounds situations we would assume. Got to get it off.
And that's exactly what they were angling for, but
yeah, Davenport, discretion, the better part of valor right there. Doesn't take a chance, and Fannin will have the ball at about the 38-yard line with no doubt about it. You have to score and score quickly here.
Yeah, 7:52. This on this series, 4th down doesn't mean anything. You got to go for it all the way through. So you're going to see Fannin throwing everything they have at it here, and you should.
Would have liked to have seen a little pressure on that kick, that low snap, and first time punting, but there's always the danger of getting a personal foul there as well. So 1st and 10. As you mentioned, time to get moving here for this Fannin offense.
They have 3 timeouts and plenty of time, but they got to score here.
Tried to run outside and nothing doing. That Bobcat defense has come alive here in this 4th quarter.
Ian Berry with a great stop. He held his ground on the defensive side and got penetration, and that turns into a 5-yard loss. So we're seeing a little bit of that in the second half, but that's the first time we've really seen it on that running play. Both of these defenses seem to have gotten a little better in the second half.
That's right.
Now, Gilmer's at home with Murray County next week. And, of course, we have the game with Fannin and Pickens, an old rivalry, probably not as intense as Gilmer-Pickens or Fannin-Gilmer, but an old rivalry nonetheless.
I may be wrong, but I believe that's the first time since I've been here, as we see Weaver swarmed, that those two teams have played each other. It's been quite a while. We see another Bobcat down there.
But I don't think that's cramp.
So while they tend to the injured Bobcat player, we'll take a break and be right back. Still 49-28 Cats.
Work hard. Play hard. Hit hard.
Win hard. Your only connection to high school sports. Tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. to catch the action on the gridiron, only on ETC3.
Senior player Jaden Blassengame, a tight end and defensive end. He is the young man that was down. He looks to be okay, walking off under his own power. Been a physical game tonight, from both sides.
Well, and Fannin County's got such size and strength. I mean, they really do. And they've got a lot to build around. Their season's by no means over. They've got to figure out how to use that line to their advantage, because it is certainly one.
Wow.
A second great play from Ian Berry out there. That time he shed his blocker, and it was just one-on-one, and he just did a great job. That's just two great plays from Ian Berry we've seen on this drive. And Fannin now is fourth and so long they can't even see the first down marker, so they got to punt.
Yeah. This Fannin offense got to find itself and figure it out before they get to region play. Some tough games, Rockmart, Haralson County, some really big matchups that they have to get ready for. And this Fannin program will be fine. Of course, you don't want to lose to your two rivals in purple the first two games of the season, but still great punt there. Wow. Still a lot of football left to be played. Gilmer setting up a pretty nice return, knocked out at about midfield.
Yeah, that's Mason Smith. I'm still thinking I would have been calling for a fair catch there maybe, because it got to him late. That was a super punt. The punter for Fannin County gets great height and gets the ball to turn over, and Smith just broke a tackle there.
On the flip side for Gilmer, you think about there weren't a lot of expectations for this team, and you play an LFO team last week who's 1-9 in the last 2 years, but this Fannin team, you talk about beating a team with a great pedigree. This is a huge win for Gilmer. And then you start looking ahead to next week, Murray County, down a little bit, and that's a game you certainly have a chance to do well in. And that game against Ringgold in a couple of weeks looking like a barn burner.
Well, and you look at the region, there's some really tough teams in the region, but also some opportunities for the Bobcats. If they play the way they played tonight, there's no reason they can't sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, let's talk about the region a little bit. So you've got it here in front of us. Dawson County, going to be tough no matter what. Wesleyan is the number 10 ranked team in AAA this week, and so that'll be a huge matchup. That's coming up here in
Lumpkin County looks much
September.
improved.
Yeah,
White
Lumpkin.
County's tough.
White
Hall and Pickens.
Yeah, White County with a new head coach, and so we'll see, kind of how they look. West Hall lost to East Hall last week, and so they don't look to be where they want to be yet. Pickens remains to be seen. We'll see them next week. But as you mentioned, some tough competition, but a chance to compete as well. You look at matchups against White County and Lumpkin as really, really decisive region-type games.
Well, and the key thing is execution like we've never seen before. So the way the Bobcats executed against a good Fannin County line, at a minimum, they're very good on the defensive line. I mean, this kind of execution, if they can continue this into the region play, they'll surprise folks. There's no question.
And the expectation for Coach Standard is, when teams look at their schedule, they want Gilmer to be one of those games that you dread, like Dawson and like Wesleyan, and certainly on their way to do it. For Fannin, you look at the region, Murray County in their region, North Murray, certainly winnable games, as we see another handoff here. Good job by the Fannin defense. But big games. Rockmart is a perennial powerhouse in whatever classification they're in. Haralson County has proved to be tough the last couple of years. You've got games against Model, and so so a tough region to play in. And you've got to figure things out offensively before you get there.
But at least GAC is not in their region.
That's right.
So 2nd and 11 for the Bobcats. Running clock now. We're going to be under 4 minutes when this ball gets snapped.
The region realignment, there was such a fuss made about it. And, only to be told there'll be another major shakeup in 2 years. And so I think the exciting thing for us is we get new matchups that we haven't seen. Also non-region, we've still got Murphy and Fannin in a couple weeks. That'll be exciting. Of course, Murphy just to the north of Fannin in the state of North Carolina. And so excited about that game, but some new, fresh matchups. And, of course, with Pickens and Gilmer being a region game, that's added to it as well.
So timeout. Pickens used Fannin used one of their 3 timeouts here. The Bobcats up 49-28, and really with 3:51 to go, unless the Bobcats put the ball on the ground a couple of times, they might be able to go home tonight with a win.
Yeah, Caleb Frady, as you looked at the Maxwell rankings this week, Fannin was favored pretty significantly in this game, and if preseason we'd have said after tonight one team will be 2-0, the other will be 0-2, I don't know that any of us would have predicted it the way it's gone down.
Yeah, you certainly would have thought that Fannin would be the team walking out of here 2-0 tonight, coming into tonight's game, even after the disappointing loss last weekend and the lack of offense, a 13-point favorite. So Gilmer on the upset end of things, covering that one pretty easily here. So been an impressive night for Gilmer. Certainly gives you a lot of positive momentum as we've been talking about, this matchup with Murray next week. You got the opportunity to go to Ringgold 3-0. That's a really impressive start. And meanwhile, Fannin playing up next week against Pickens, you're 0-2. You really don't want to go 0-3 in the region, non-region play before you see Murphy. So tonight was a big night for Fannin to try to get things right. Next weekend's really, really important.
Yeah, this score, as we've bragged on Gilmer's execution all night, they make a mess on that play.
Yeah,
4 players in motion.
Yeah, they could have had any number of penalties on that play.
And so, but this is one of those games, and for those of you that are not subscribers to it, if you're a football fan, go ahead and subscribe to Georgia High School Football Daily. Chip Say and those guys do a great job. They always stay in touch with us and, kind of keep up with what's going on in North Georgia. But they always, at the end of every week, they identify some of the biggest upsets based on those Maxwell projections, and this one will certainly be one of them. You're a 13-point underdog, and with a 21-point lead here so far. And so this will turn heads around the state, and people will say, oh, Paul Stander's finally getting it going up there.
That was pretty smart. Coach Cheatham decided to decline that penalty so that it would leave the Bobcats in a 4th down situation and have to give the football up. He didn't want to give up another play, and that's smart when you're trying to hang on to the timeouts and what hope you have. And realistically, it can happen. Punt return, onside kick. That's a lot of time and plenty of timeouts.
And as the times that we've been around Chad Cheatham over the last 4 years now, as he's sort of been here now for a while, he coaches until the final whistle, no matter what. And so we'll see what happens here. It's going to be, looks like a clock issue. Clock was supposed to be running and wasn't. And Coach Standard wants to know why. Now the clock is going to run, so we're starting over. So we're going to sit here for another.
Yeah, they're not going to be in
seconds.
a hurry to snap this ball, nor should they. They shouldn't be in a hurry. They've got an opportunity to run 25 more seconds off the clock, and they definitely should just be standing right there.
Nobody deep for Fannin. We'll see if they apply some pressure.
No reason even to kick it at all. You could take a 5-yard penalty and hit it again.
So they do bring some pressure. Can't get it. It's going to be a short kick, though, and got to tell everybody to get out of the way. Takes a good bounce, though.
Yep.
So Fannin with a long way to go. A short time to get there. Heard that somewhere before.
Normally to a song.
That's right.
Greatest movie ever made.
I'm dating myself, though. I don't know if the kids would even know. Caleb Frady, you know what movie that's from, don't you?
It's the greatest movie ever made, in my opinion.
Well, there is a.
Wow.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
I've heard hyperbole used quite a bit in my life. Smokey and the Bandit, greatest movie ever made. I like it. I will say.
It would be in my top 10.
Yeah, I will say, growing up in the TBS syndication era, that was on TV quite a bit, and I never turned the channel when it was on. So, good movie. 1st and 10 for the Rebels. 3 minutes left on the clock, and they pull off a decent run, but got to get moving quickly.
So Bobcats probably okay to give up 6-7 yards a carry on the ground because that's that keeps the clock running. It took a long time to get to the line to go to the next play. And they're running again. And the clock's running, so not sure what's going on here, but
so now under 2 minutes, and Fannin just trying to work out some kinks in the offense here to end the game. Be a first down, and Davenport will step out of bounds. And in the grand scheme of things, and certainly a rivalry game, we never want to lessen the significance of it. In the grand scheme of things, postseason-wise, this game does not matter. And so if you're Coach Cheatham, you don't want to throw the film away, but you go in and you tell them, hey, guys, this is a learning experience. We are getting prepared for region play. And so there'll be some good things that he can talk about, and there'll be some negative things that he'll point out as well.
Yeah, but on the other side for Gilmer, it's no way to overstate the value of this win. It's a team you've been losing to regularly, and now you've got an opportunity to get that monkey off your back. Yeah. Your 2 wins in a time when, if this team can post a winning record this year, it'll be the first time since 2014. If they can get in the region playoffs, it'd be the first time since 2014. So it's been a long way back. There's 3 seasons in there without a win at all.
Yeah. 2015, they had that weird 3-team miniature playoff thing, and so Gilmer missed the playoffs because of that. And I went to that. That was strange. He played 1 team in the first half and 1 team in the second half. I hope they never ever do that again. But there is a tradition of winning and of success and of certainly being competitive, and it's good to see Gilmer back there. And shout out to the administration for the hire. And
big hit on the blind side. That was a huge hit. That's number 3, Blake Reese, and he was unimpeded for a while. And you got a sophomore quarterback in Elijah Weaver, and he's going to learn. If you've held the ball that long, somebody's coming.
So timeout taken on the field.
And none of the fans from either side have departed from this stadium. I think they're all Fannin County fans are supporting their team as they should, and for the Bobcat faithful, they just haven't seen this in so long. They're just soaking it in.
Stay tuned after the final whistle. It'll be the Pink Pig post-game show. Looking forward to that. And we'll hear from our guy on the field, Caleb Frady. We'll look at what are some amazing statistics. I know sometimes folks are looking at scores around the state. I think this one will turn heads as they scroll down the list, and just good to see for Gilmer. Will be a screen play there. Nicely drawn up. It'll be a first down.
And it's worked all night.
By the way, a shout out to Elijah Weaver. He took that huge hit and came right back and is
made a nice pass.
Thrown 2 really good balls. So that one will not feel good, but resiliency from him. He was put in a tough position to have to follow 2 really, really good quarterbacks as a young player, and he'll mature and get better. That one completed all the way down inside the 10. Fannin wanting to punch it in one more time before this game's over.
And that's important for this offensive unit after struggling as they did it against Union County. They've got 28 up on the board tonight and an opportunity to get it to 34, 35.
So Weaver throws it out to Davenport, who is immediately swarmed, but makes a nice move, and he will punch it into the end zone for a Rebel touchdown. Davenport is an elite athlete, you can tell, just all kinds of shiftiness. And
yeah, there were players out there, and he still did a good job of avoiding all of them and getting into the end zone.
Yeah, just shook Will Kiker, who's one of Gilmer's best defenders, and so Fannin able to put it on the board, and they will have an onside kick opportunity. So still fireworks to go. Caleb Freddy, that one was right in front of you as we see the extra point attempt that is up and good. Davenport quick and nice moves over there.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, it was well blocked on the perimeter, but you've got to give the credit to him just kicking it into another gear. And like you mentioned, eluding one of Gilmer's better athletes, better defenders, and no give up in him. And he's able to get that one in the end zone and give Fannin at least a puncher's chance here down a couple of scores.
Yeah, so we'll see what they come up with on the onside kick. There have been a couple different things that we've seen tonight, Dale. We've seen the little kind of drag your foot across the ground and everybody jump on top of it at 10 yards. We've seen line drives trying to get a bad bounce. There is the traditional onside kick where you just pop it up as high in the air as you can. So we'll see what they come up with.
I think they'll. I mean, most of these teams now that really work on special teams, they adjust to what they see. So depends on how the Bobcats line up. Looks like they're gonna give you a lot of guys within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage and one guy sort of back to clean it up. And the Rebels look like they're going to angle it on the ground and just do a traditional onside kick, and for the Bobcats, they recovered.
I tell you what, they almost gave it away, though. So good job by Gilmer. While we have just a minute, we want to shout out our crew tonight. Nick Boker, our fearless leader, our director. We appreciate Nick. Caleb Block handling the replay. Also, the second engineer in there. David Williams, our production manager, also keeping Caleb Freddy looking good down there in the end zone. Aaron Abbott, our production tech. Donovan Jones. Trace Parks running camera ops. And the prodigal son has returned home. Tim Christensen is back running the graphics after moving away from us, and we appreciate him being back. And as Gilmer takes a knee here, we want to send a special shout out to Danny Hensley. Danny runs the studio at ETC and has been for the last year and a half battling pancreatic cancer and having a rough go of it right now. And so if you could, please think about Danny and his family and remember him in your prayers as he continues to fight this awful disease. And we love Danny very much, and we'll be thinking about him throughout this season.
Well said. Victory formation is the sweetest formation you can enter into, and that's what the Bobcats are in right now. And that should be enough to get us through the game.
So 49-35, the final here. What a great night for Gilmer, and just the great resumption of a rivalry. And next year when these two teams get ready to meet, Fannin will surely remember this night. We're going to step away for just a minute. When we come back, we will put a bow on this night. 49-35, Bobcats with a huge win.
When other dealers are hitting the brakes, Bill Holt Blue Ridge is stomping the gas with our biggest selection of the year. We've got over 400 vehicles in stock and North Georgia's biggest truck inventory. Head back to school in a new Chevrolet with our lowest payments of the year. Drive a new Chevrolet for just $199 a month. That's only $199 a month at Bill Holt. And we've never paid more for trades. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from us. When it comes to North Georgia's largest selection of new trucks and pre-owned vehicles, there's only one name you need to know: Bill Holt Blue Ridge.
ATC knows the internet is evolving, taking new twists and turns. As we add our input, make our choices, and follow the light that connects us all, It's quite a journey, one to experience with the fastest speeds available. Contact ETC. Connect to the internet speed that suits your journey and enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to the Pink Pig post-game show. Jeremy Green here with Dell Land and Caleb Frady. And special shout out to the Pink Pig for providing the pregame meal tonight. It was pretty good.
It was really good.
They brought out the big guns with the mac and cheese in week 1. Yeah. So we appreciate the Pink Pig, and they're sponsoring our post-game show. But let's talk about the game. We've had a few minutes to sort of think about it in this fourth quarter. But for Gilmer, I don't think we can really overhype how big of a night, not just in the game, but how big of a night this is for this program.
It's a huge night because, as we talked about, last winning season, 2014, last time we made it to the region playoffs, 2014. Years in there, we're 3 years running, didn't win a single game. This program has been to the depths, and Coach Standard has helped the community get behind it again. He's really brought great leadership here, and you're seeing a team that really has a fairly small senior class, and yet they're still playing extremely good football. And the execution we saw tonight is as good as I've seen in years.
Yeah, and so this is a system that's not really about superstars because, as we mentioned, you're reading what to do. But Hunter Watkins tonight made a statement, as you know, those runs on the outside, one of them a 90-yard touchdown run. To have that explosiveness from a back is really important.
Yeah, and to your point, it's a great point. You know, the thing that makes Hunter Watkins go or Will Cocker go is that fullback in the middle of the line, because that makes everybody play honest and play straight. They can't shade one way or the other, and just a great job executing. And then if you get all caught up in stopping the run, they're going to pass on you. And we saw every phase of that tonight. Both teams' offense did very well. Fannin's offense did very well. I think that they're going to be able to build on what they did tonight and score a lot of points this year. I don't think their issue right now is not their quarterback, which we thought coming into the game it might be. Their issue right now is like Gilmer's issue, which is you got to get the defense in gear.
Yeah, you mentioned the quarterback position. As we look down the chart of what happened here, Rellinger responsible for 4 touchdowns, the sophomore quarterback, 3 on the ground, 1 in the air. A lot of that is the defense adjusting to the backs, and so we don't want to give him the big head. But I wasn't expecting the speed that we saw out of him and the elusiveness, and that's really a weapon in this offense.
It is.
And so we talked about Fannin. Fannin's okay. You know, they certainly have the ability to do well in their season in front of them, but you know, a chance to sort of regroup and say, all right, what can we build on?
That's right.
So Caleb Frady down on the field. Caleb, talk about what we saw tonight and what we're going to see from these two teams moving forward.
I think you nailed it for Fannin. You know, it's certainly you're 0-2, but you're not going to hit the panic button just yet. I think Gilmer just played a really good game here tonight, and I think you're seeing the improvements from Gilmer year 1 to year 2. And I think if you're Gilmer, you knew that some form of a turnaround was going to come at some point. You know, Paul Standard's got 2 losing seasons ever in his coaching career, now in his 22nd year. So you know that improvement's coming. You just wonder how quickly. Really impressive game tonight, and out of both teams too. You know, Gilmer was just the better team for sure. Fannin played well. Neither team, was sloppy. Neither a lot of turnovers, a lot of offense out of both teams. So, if you're Fannin, you got something to build on. Like you said, you're still figuring things out a little bit offensively. You've got good size on the line, so you can build on that as you get into region play in a tougher region. If you're Gilmer, like we were talking about during the broadcast, you've really got an opportunity, to be 3-0 to get into region play. And maybe be looking at sliding into the playoffs there, and what an accomplishment that would be for the Bobcats.
Yeah, the bar has been raised, I think, tonight. The good news, we've got a whole season ahead of us.
Yep.
Next week, we will head up to Blue Ridge. We'll see this Fannin team battling it out with Pickens. We've got a ton of non-region games still on the slate. Region play just around the corner. We've got all sorts of excitement for you. We hope you'll be with us every Friday night. It'll be at the same time on the same station. Countdown to kickoff at 7, and the game starting at 7:30. We hope that you'll be with us. On behalf of Caleb Frady and Dell Land, I'm Jeremy Green. We look forward to seeing you next week in Blue Ridge.
United Country Talking Rock Realty says it best. I'm happy as long as I can see Sharp Top. From the ground up, new home to complete renovation or remodel, we have combined the amazing workmanship of SGC Groups, transforming the forgotten to the fabulous. Teamwork makes the dream work. For buying, selling, or flipping, call Sherry Martin